Chapter 1166. Excuse me, is this old Master Qin's house? The two principals had just arrived and they were still slightly nervous. After all, they had met many outstanding candidates who came from well-to-do families, but this was the first time they met someone who came from such a well-to-do family. It was at least a few hundred meters from the entrance of the old mansion to the living room. However, when Mama Qin saw this, she thought that they were here to look for Qin Youjiao. She was somewhat flattered. Principal Xiang, Principal Tan, why are you here today? Didn't you call Jiao yesterday? When old Master Qin heard this, he thought that they were here to look for Qin Youjiao and his face instantly darkened. He almost chased them away on the spot. Tong Yuang, I'm warning you, this is the last time. Old Master Qin's tone was sinister. This made the principals of Yunhua University and Beichuan inexplicably afraid. Surely not? Just because they did not call Pei Yunj yesterday, old Master Qin was already this angry? Old Master Qin, this matter is related to your biological granddaughter after all. You should calm down and listen to this. Am I her mother? Can't you talk to her mother? Old Master Qin's tone was extremely irritated. The principals of Yunhua University and Beichuan shrank their necks. This was indeed the family of the national top scholar. How arrogant. Mrs. Qin, can we talk? The principal of Yunhua University smiled stiffly at Mama Qin. You're too kind to come here personally. I really don't know what to say. Mama Qin was very happy and smiled brightly. However, if Principal Xiang and Principal Tan are free, I wonder if you'd be willing to attend my daughter's banquet in a few days? Banquet? The principal of Yunhua University was stunned for a moment, but he quickly smiled again. Of course, it's only right. After all, she's the national top scholar. No matter what, we should celebrate. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Principal Su and the others subconsciously looked at Mama Qin and the others. National top scholar? There was actually a living national top scholar in their circle? However, Mama Qin's smile was slightly stiff. Top scholar? Principal Xiang, are you mistaken? My family is ranked second in Jianghu City and only fourth in the country. Of course not. Halfway through his sentence, Senior Colonel Yun immediately sobered up. Wait, who told you it's classmate Qin? I'm talking about classmate Pei Yunj. Suddenly, the atmosphere fell into a dead silence. On the other hand, Principal Yun was still talking non-stop. I really didn't expect classmate Pei to score 749 points in the college entrance examination despite the unprecedented level of difficulty. I heard that 1 point was deducted because he didn't finish his essay. Initially, the teachers who marked the papers wanted to deduct 2 or 3 points, but a senior teacher really liked classmate Pei's essay and was so angry that he decided to deduct 2 or 3 points. Hence, he sent it to the higher-ups for approval and only 1 point was deducted. Girl scored 749 points? Old Master Qin was at a loss for words as he asked in disbelief. Principal Beichuan hesitated. You didn't even check the scores? Could this be the national top scholars family? They were already so confident? Old Master Qin was speechless. What should he say? Not only did he not check the scores, but he was also helping his granddaughter get in through the back door. Principal Su was also silent. If he had agreed to let old Master Qin get in through the back door, would he have made a killing today? That can't be right. Su, you're from a politics and law school. How dare you snatch the top scholar from us? Principal Beichuan looked wary. Principal Su was speechless. You might not believe it, but I just rejected the backdoor application from the family of the college entrance examination's top scholar. P.S. Good night, good girls. Chapter 1167. Principal Su was expressionless, but his heart was numb. Shut up. Pei Yunj? Suddenly Mother Qin seemed to lose her mind. She looked up at the principal of Yun University and denied it agitatedly. How is that possible? How could she be the top scorer in the national examination? She must have cheated. She must have cheated. However, her words caused the principals of several universities to look at her with disgust. How could the dignified Madame Qin say such things? As a mother, how could she be biased to this extent? It's not surprising that student Pei was the top scorer in the national examination. After all, she was also the top scorer in the previous joint examination. The principal of Yun University changed his attitude. Principal Beichuan, who was sitting beside him, rolled his eyes. Someone had posted on WeChat Moments that the heavens were jealous of geniuses after finding out that Pei Yunj was seriously ill. She was the top scorer in the joint examination. Principal Su looked shocked. Back then, before he returned to China, He heard this news and was shocked for a long time. After all, the difficulty of the examination paper was far beyond the standard of the National College Entrance Examination. But in the end, someone actually scored full marks. All of a sudden, Principal Su looked at old Master Qin with a complicated expression. His face was even a little distorted. Good Lord. So this was what this old fox meant when he said that she did not do well in the examination? Because she could score full marks in the past, but now she actually lost 1 mark? Finally, old Master Qin was all smiles. He could not wait to announce this great news to the world. Pei Yunj suddenly said, "Grandpa, I have an appointment with my classmate. Can I go out to play?" Before old Master Qin could say anything, a few principals at the side stopped Pei Yunj. "Student Pei, can you consider Beichuan? Beichuan's physics department is the ace major. As long as you are willing, you can enter any professor's laboratory." The principal of Yun University, who was at the side, did not want to be outdone. Don't listen to him. Every major in Yun University is good. Moreover, there are many scholarships. Principal Su, who could not get a word in, was filled with endless regret. This was the consequence of being stupid back then. If he had found out that Pei Yunj was the top scorer in that joint examination before he rejected her, he would have brought her to the school no matter what. Following that, the principal of Yun University suddenly played the emotional card. "Yunj, you know that old Bai is the former principal of Yun University. Isn't coming to Yun University the same as returning to your happy hometown?" Pei Yunj was speechless. Principal Bei Chuan did not want to be outdone either. "Yunj, you know that old Zhong is my teacher. If you come to Bei Chuan, more than half of the professors here will be old Zhong's juniors." Looking at this noisy scene, Mother Qin's face turned livid. She gritted her teeth, feeling as though she had been slapped in the face. Mother Qin took a deep breath. She did not want to stay here for another second. She turned around and left immediately. And right then, Pei Yunj's eyelids also moved. "Regarding the school selection, I'll listen to my grandfather." With that, Pei Yunj quickly walked away. Only old Master Qin was left standing there in a daze. However, a few seconds later, the principals and old Master Qin looked at each other. Half a minute passed. Old Master Qin suddenly became noble and elegant in a second. He sat back on the sofa and said, "Old Xiao, you guys should go back early." When the other 2 mahjong partners heard this, they knew that this matter was about to start and immediately left. Before the other 3 principals could react, they heard old Master Qin ask in a very reserved manner, "Do all of you know how to play mahjong?" Principal Yun University, ? Principal Bei Chuan, ? Principal Su. Chapter 1168. A few minutes later, the 3 principals were forced to play mahjong with old Master Qin. Old Master Qin said with a smile, emphasizing the last 3 words, "Come, come, come. Don't let me win just because I have a granddaughter who is the top scorer in the college entrance examination." The principals were speechless. Good Lord. Initially they wanted to play a few rounds seriously. But now that the old man said that, who would be so stupid as to play seriously? They were all people who had lived most of their lives. Who could not understand what he meant? The few principals who had been flattered for half their lives could only smile and agree at this moment, seriously losing money to play with him. Principal Su in particular had a fake smile on his face. This old thing did not let him go. It was obvious that he wanted to take back the money that he had won earlier. The entire afternoon, old Master Qin was having a lot of fun. He only saw the 3 principals off in the evening. His face was filled with the joy of victory. "Principal Xiang, come again next time." We will. Please don't see me out." The principal of Yunhua University had a stiff smile on his face, but his heart was about to break down. He did not want to come to this godforsaken place ever again. After the principals left, old Master Qin placed his hands behind his back and walked back to the living room arrogantly. Not long after, he went upstairs to change his clothes. About half an hour later, Qin Lang had just returned to the old mansion when he was shocked by old Master Qin, who was in the living room. What are you wearing? A dragon robe?" Qin Lang asked, finding it hard to explain. Old Master Qin stood in front of the mirror and looked at his bright yellow Tongshan costume. His tone was indifferent and pretentious. "How is it? I'll be wearing this for the banquet." "Qin Lang, do you want me to make a king's crown for you? Gur is not around, right?" Qin Lang could not be bothered with old Master Qin and puffed a sigh. "I heard that Qin Yojiao got 2nd place in the city. I hope she doesn't know about this." "Do you think Gur is like you?" She only scored so little in the college entrance examination. Old Master Qin had a look of disdain on his face. Qin Lang? What's Gur's score? Qin Lang lifted his head abruptly and asked. 749. Old Master Qin lifted his chin with a look of disdain. Unlike you, Yunhua University, who scored so much. Just now, a few principals from Yunhua University, Beichuan University, and the National Politics University were playing cards with me. Qin Lang, no wonder this old man thought of himself as an emperor and even started to wear a dragon robe. After Qin Lang was done with his disdain, he quickly went upstairs and secretly posted on his WeChat moments to show off. Pei Yunj had only come out to hide from the principals. After giving Song Yao a call, he found out that Song Yao had scored 9th place in the city and was definitely going to enter Yunhua University. At the Computing Institute. Master Pei, you're amazing. Even though you have a high fever, you still managed to become the top scorer in the country, Si Qingyan teased. In the afternoon, news of the top scorer in the college entrance examination enduring a high fever and getting full marks spread like wildfire. Was this the world of the big shots? He should be coming to my faculty, right? Si Qingyan asked excitedly. Pei Yunj didn't even raise his head. Will you teach me? Si Qingyan, what a stinging rhetorical question. I haven't thought about it yet. I just want to make the old man happy by taking the college entrance examination. Pei Yunj said slowly. Anyway, as long as you don't leave Yunqing, you can go anywhere. Si Qingyan was scrolling through the hot search as usual. Suddenly he saw a novel hot search and clicked on it. After a while, he sneered. What's wrong? Pei Yunj asked. Si Qingyan seemed to think of something and chuckled. Nothing. Today. Qin Youjiao was checking the scores live. The news that he ranked 2nd in the city was directly on the hot search. Chapter 1169. Hashtag Qin Youjiao ranked 2nd in the city in the college entrance examination. Hashtag Qin Youjiao ranked 2nd in the college entrance examination. Hashtag a few of the terms were on the hot search list, and not long after, they reached the top. The reason why Qin Youjiao did this was obvious. It was to embarrass Pei Yunj. She thought that Pei Yunj had really gone to the examination hall with a high fever and would definitely fail the exam this time. Therefore, she wanted to take the opportunity to step on Pei Yunj and embarrass Pei Yunj on the internet. After all, Pei Yunj had brothers like Qin Yu and Qin Lang who had their own popularity, so it would be easy for her to gain popularity. In addition, Pei Yunj and Qin Youjiao had always had a grudge against each other. The netizens had always been watching for a good show. Very soon, these terms were quickly left with comments. Ah, Jiao Jiao is so awesome. She ranked 2nd in the city. I wouldn't even dare to do this in my dreams. Is this the scene of a rich and powerful princess turning the tables? Sob sob sob, I will always love the female lead the most. Jiao Jiao charge. Since she's on the hot search list, I'll recommend my sister Jiao Jiao. She's the youngest member of the International Music Association, and the 2nd top student in the college entrance examination hall. Looks like the princess is still a princess. She went to Neely for a year and still managed to get 2nd in the city when she returned. I wonder how the real daughter is doing in her college entrance examination. I heard that the real daughter had a high fever of 39 degrees Celsius during her college entrance examination. It spread all over Hongda. She's probably going to be defeated by Qin Youjiao this time. No way, right? Is a certain someone even worthy of being compared to my Jiao Jiao? A high fever isn't an excuse either. If she can't win, then she can't win. The netizens quickly left comments, wishing that they could dig up Pei Yunj's score. There were also some fans of Qin Lang and Qin Yu who were rationally defending Pei Yunj. After all, this was as much as sister-in-law fans could do. Meanwhile, at home, Qin Youjiao scrolled through the trending comments. The sarcasm at the corner of her mouth became even more intense. So what if Pei Yunj returned to the Qin family? Wasn't she still inferior to her? Was she still going to be trampled underfoot by her? Qin Youjiao lay on the sofa and continued to scroll down the trending topics. However, she saw 2 trending terms from the corner of her eye. Hashtag National Top Scorer 749 Hashtag Cry. Qin Youjiao frowned. She felt a little uncomfortable, but she still clicked on this term. What does it mean to be a real big shot? Compared to Qin Youjiao's 716 plus 20 privilege points, this is the real father. She beat this year's examinees up and taught them how to be human. She didn't finish her Chinese essay and only deducted 1 point. She got 149 points. She got full marks for all other subjects. The netizens couldn't help but worship the big shot. The examinees from the same batch were rubbed against. How can she get 749 points? She's a god, right? I'm dying of laughter. Qin Yojiao just appeared on the trending topics. Why are you all so fat? Are you deliberately embarrassing the #1 female lead in the universe, Sister Jiao? Doghead. I can't let my mom see this trending topic. I'm already getting beaten up even though I'm in the same school as the top scorer. Goodbye? How can she get 749 points with a fever of 39 degrees? F***ck, she took the exam while she was sick? So fierce? I can prove it. It's true. I'm also an alumnus of Hengda. Qin Yojiao is too capable. People don't even take her seriously. Why does she have to rush to provoke the big shot? Hey, what do you mean? Why can't I understand? Don't ask. If you ask, she's the real girl. Why is call? The passers-by were confused when they saw several alumni talking in riddles. What does this matter have to do with the real girl? Until a few minutes later. Some people couldn't sit still and forwarded and claimed the status of the official media. Qin Yu, well, she's better than her brother. Yunqing Daily, come into the world of the prodigy. 749 points in the hellish college entrance examination. The editor also cried, picture. P.S. There's one more chapter. Chapter 1170. Very soon. Some people were not willing to lag behind. Crush Qin Lang. Welcome to the 4th college student in my family. She will always be my little Rose. Yunqing Daily, enter the world of the prodigy. 749 points in the hellish level of the college entrance examination. The editor is also crying. Picture. Qin Corporation, #Queen's Behavior, #Missy Rushes. Yunqing Daily, enter the world of the prodigy. 749 points in the hellish level of the college entrance examination. The editor is also crying. Picture. This time the whole internet exploded. What was going on? Qin Yu and Qin Lang only had one younger sister. Qin Yojiao had long left the Qin family. So, the National College Entrance Examination champion was Pei Yunj? Is it what I think it is? The college entrance examination champion is a real daughter? Upstairs, be more serious. It's the National College Entrance Examination champion. Cathead, F***ck, so she took the exam while she was sick. In the end, she still got the first place in the National College Entrance Examination? I'm vomiting from laughing. Sister Jiao's fans who have a bad mouth just now, come and kowtow to the father of the top student. Ha, this is too embarrassing, right? She can get 749 points even when she is sick. What about Sister Jiao? How can Sister Jiao continue to act as the main female lead? To be honest, the real daughter fulfills all my fantasies of a rich girl. She is low-key and doesn't play tricks. She doesn't care about any comments from the outside world. You can scold or praise her, but she will accept it all. Compared to this, Qin Yojiao is so low. The real daughter's reputation in school is actually not bad. She looks cold and aloof, but she is also a human wrench. If it weren't for the school bell of the neighboring #1 high school, I would be willing to be a ghost under her skirt. Sob, sob, sob. As soon as these words fell, it resonated with many people. Every time they wanted to strike up a conversation with Pei Yunj and ask for her WeChat, Song Yao's smiling face next to her made their scalps go numb. In this day and age, the school bell was also digested internally. However, Qin Yojiao's face turned pale when she saw this. She bit her lip hard and stared at the screen. How could this be? Pei Yunj scored 749 points. She was the national champion? Jiao, I bought you a cake that you like. Mother Qin did not mention Pei Yunj, not wanting to upset Qin Yojiao. However, Qin Yojiao immediately walked in front of Mother Qin. Mom, how many points did Pei Yunj score? She's the national champion? Mother Qin looked flustered. She did not expect Qin Yojiao to find out so quickly. However, when Mother Qin recalled that Beichuan and Yunhua University's principal had gone to the Qin family mansion to visit old Master Qin because of Pei Yunj, she could only bite the bullet and say, yes. Qin Yojiao recalled that she had deliberately bought the trending topic just now. Looking at it now, it was like a slap to her face. At that moment, her face turned green and red. She took a step back and could not help but shake her head with a dazed look in her eyes. How is this possible? It's impossible. She's clearly a good-for-nothing. When Mother Qin heard Qin Yojiao say that about Pei Yunj, her heart felt strangely stifled. However, she quickly comforted her. Jiao, it's not what you think. There are national champions every year. but you're the youngest member of the music association. There's nothing wrong with that. The music association, Qin Youjiao mumbled. Suddenly she came back to her senses and remembered something. Pei Yunj had also been to Neely and had even become a member of the music association because she had cheated. However, she had been reported, although she did not know what happened next. But at least she could use this to make Pei Yunj unable to make a comeback and completely become a street rat that everyone wanted to beat up. Mom, you're right. I'm the youngest C-rank member of the music association. Qin Youjiao suddenly smiled. She turned around and walked upstairs, mulling over an idea. P.S. Good night. Qin Youjiao could not do anything anymore. This time she was the first person to deal with her when she came back. Chapter 1171. On this day, Qin Youjiao was almost trembling with anger at the group of people on the internet. She did not know who was behind this, but the trending topic directly reached the top. No matter how she tried to find her connections, she could not get rid of it. However, after 2 days the popularity of this entry quickly disappeared. It was obvious that someone was protecting Pei Yunj. This kind of understanding almost made Qin Youjiao's eyes red with jealousy. However, in the past few days, Pei Yunj was busy with the establishment and expansion of the Higgins Group's double headquarters and did not care about anything else. It was also because of the Higgins Group's double headquarters announcement on the internet that it had attracted the attention of many people and even became a trending topic. In less than 2 days, because of Xiang Yan's handsome interview, the Higgins Group's reputation directly rose in the country. After all, this year the Higgins Group launched a series of high-tech product series, which directly entered the top 10 of the world's enterprises and the top 1 of the future commercial potential list. And such a mega enterprise could establish a new headquarters in Yunqing, which indeed attracted international attention. After all, to some extent, this would definitely raise the domestic scientific research level and drive the economic development of Yunqing. Therefore, many research institutes in a country could not help but want to contact the person in charge of the Higgins Group. However, it was said that the current heir of the Higgins Group never showed up. And most of the things were handled by General Manager Xiang Higgins' headquarters in Yunqing. As soon as Pei Yunj arrived, she looked at the international design of the building. At first glance, she knew that it was a foreign enterprise. She moved her eyebrows and did not say much. She pressed the brim of her hat and stepped in. In the hall on the first floor, many people in charge of various companies had gathered. Such a scene was surprising. After all, these people were all well-known figures in the country. But now they gathered together, thinking of ways to meet the senior management of the Higgins Group. They all had plans in their hands, hoping to get the favor of the head of the Higgins Group. Inadvertently, Pei Yunj also heard a familiar voice that she had not heard for a long time. Young General Manager Qing, you can handle the affairs of your own industry at such a young age. It's really amazing. Someone next to him praised. Cheng Zihuai, who had always been arrogant among his peers, just smiled modestly. My father said that I should come out to gain more experience, and also to learn from all of you. Zihuai, you are too modest. You are also an outstanding talent in Qingchong Computing Center. And Higgins has always paid attention to scientific research. It is estimated that the first company they will choose to cooperate with will be the Qing Group. Speaking of this, everyone looked at Cheng Zihuai with admiration and more or less hostility. However, Cheng Zihuai had long been used to such gazes. He still smiled calmly and said, Our Qing Group really wants to cooperate with Higgins Group, but I also heard that the Qing Group is preparing to develop in the direction of scientific research. But when he heard the scolding, his tone was mocking. CO Qing's appetite is big, and he wants to get a foot in everything. The Qing Group is an old technology company, no matter what aspect of strength it is, it will not be inferior. A dark light flashed across Cheng Zihuai's eyes. This time he was indeed determined to get the opportunity to cooperate with Higgins. Therefore he would not let the Qin Group be an obstacle to him. But fortunately, Qin Youjiao had already left the Qin Group, so he had nothing to worry about. Moreover, the Qin family still had Pei Yunj, who made him feel disgusted. Cheng Zihuai could not hide the sarcasm in his eyes. Pei Yunj only had this little trick up her sleeve, which made her brothers deliberately target Youjiao. End of this chapter. Chapter 1172. However, a burst of noise interrupted Cheng Zihuai's thoughts. Director Kong. I finally get to see you today. Everyone brought their business plans and hurried over to Kong Kuoju. Actually, this kind of thing was not usually done by the person in charge of the company. But who did not want to leave a good impression on the person in charge of Higgins? Kong Kuoju had originally come to look for Nyeyu, but he did not know what urgent matter Jianghu had and could not find him. As a matter of fact, as soon as he went downstairs, he saw the person in charge of the company in the hall. "Did you invite me to cooperate?" Kong Kuoju's tone was calm and his eyes were a little arrogant. "Then come with me to the second floor and have a good chat." Upon hearing that, a look of relief flashed across Cheng Zihuai's eyes. As expected, Kong Kuoju was in charge of the business cooperation this time. Since that was the case, he had an advantage over everyone else. After all, Kong Kuoju's family also had a small company that had always been cooperating with the Cheng group. "Zihuai, I haven't seen you for a few years. How's Uncle Cheng?" Kong Kuoju asked with a smile. Everyone could not help but be jealous of Cheng Zihuai. They did not expect Cheng Zihuai to get in touch with the people of the Higgins group so quickly. Cheng Zihuai also smiled. He was also determined to get this cooperation. "Father is very good. He has been thinking about you and Uncle Kong." Not long after, everyone had just chatted in the conference hall on the second floor for a while when a woman suddenly rushed in. "Sorry I'm late. I'm Chiu Han from the Qin group." Chiu Han smiled apologetically, but her behavior was not formal. Otherwise, she would not have become the only female senior manager of the Qin group. But soon, the people next to her sneered. "What the hell? The Qin group only sent a woman here? It seems that Boss Qin is very arrogant." Chiu Han said lightly, "Boss Qin has an important meeting today, so he can't be here in person. But I also believe that Boss Qin's sincerity in this cooperation invitation is no less than anyone else's." "That's nice to hear." The others looked at Chiu Han with a bit of sarcasm in their eyes. Someone even asked frivolously with a smile, "Or does Boss Qin want to play a trick of surprise? Is he sending a beauty to our door?" After that, everyone present looked at her with a wretched expression. Chiu Han held it in and sat at the seat furthest to the side, quietly waiting for her appointment time. At this moment, Cheng Zihuai said calmly with a hidden meaning, "The Qin family has a lot of hands now. They want to get their hands on everything." "Zihuai, aren't you and Qin Youjiao?" Kong Kuoju raised his eyebrows. "Why do you not seem to like the Qin family?" Youjiao is not the Qin family's biological daughter. She has been chased out of the family a long time ago. As for the real daughter that was sent back, she is very good at handling things. Cheng Zihuai's tone was filled with disgust. Kong Kuoju quickly understood. Kong Kuoju laughed. "I see. But it's not a big deal. Leave it to me." On the top floor, it was the first time Jianghu faced Pei Yunji's high-pressure aura. He felt a chill down his spine. "What do you mean? Are you trying to fool me with this?" Pei Yunji's face was expressionless. She threw the things on the table and suppressed her anger. Jianghu picked up the proposal and flipped through it. He did not notice anything wrong. But not long after, Jianghu suddenly remembered something. He borrowed the computer to check the data and found that there were many problems with the expenditure of this public welfare fund. It was a fake account. "Miss Pei, this really wasn't my..." Jianghu panicked. He finally knew why Pei Yunji was angry. Chapter 1173. This time, someone was injecting water into the Higgins Group's public welfare fund plan, hoping to earn a few $100 million. Jianghu thought that Pei Yunji was just like the other people in the group, wanting to create a public welfare fund to earn a good reputation. Therefore, he did not care too much about the development of this plan. However, he did not expect that when Pei Yunji came today, he would step on Pei Yunji's bottom line repeatedly. "Do I care that you did it?" Pei Yunji smiled faintly. There was no warmth in his eyes. Every word struck Jianghu's heart, causing him to tremble. What's the difference between a traitor and an idiot? Jianghu's scalp went numb. This proposal and the detailed information at the bottom were very thick. In the past, he had always thought that Pei Yunji was a scientific genius. However, he could only rely on Shang Yan for the company's matters. However, reality directly poured a bucket of ice water on him. Not only did Pei Yunji have an astonishing memory, but she was also very familiar with business. He could remember the content and data analysis of the plan after reading it once, and even see the loopholes. "Get rid of all the rotten bugs and useless people in the company. If you don't want to stay here, you can leave the next proposal to me. I will also talk to Shang Yan." Pei Yunji tried her best to maintain a calm tone, but it still made Jianghu shiver. Jianghu could not help but take another look at Pei Yunji. While he was afraid of Pei Yunji, it was also the first time he truly acknowledged this person as their Higgins successor. "Yes, Mississippi," Jianghu hurriedly answered. And for the next half an hour, Jianghu braced himself and listened to Pei Yunji's plan to correct the mistakes and the historical data. His heart trembled in fear. Nieyu could also see that Pei Yunj was suppressing her anger, so he was very afraid that in the next moment, Pei Yunj would grab his neck and ask him if he wanted to die. It had to be said that although Pei Yunj was unwilling to take over at the beginning, as long as she took over from the beginning, she would not allow Higgins to live like before. Do you remember all the things I asked you to do again? Pei Yunj's voice sounded. Yes, Mississippi. Nieyu's heart was numb. Looking at these plans, none of them survived in Pei Yunj's hands. He suddenly started to miss Director Shang, who asked him if he had a brain with a smile. It was better than this big boss who shot arrows in the dark when he worked. Finally, Pei Yunj prepared to leave and did not let Nieyu send her downstairs. Nieyu also collapsed on the sofa as if he had just escaped from death. Pei Yunj pressed down on the brim of her hat. She was still not in a good mood. She did not expect the people Shang Yin sent over to be so unreliable. However, in the next moment the elevator door opened. Pei Yunj followed the person out and realized that she had gone the wrong way. This was the second floor. Coming back to her senses before Pei Yunj left, she glanced at the people who were discussing cooperation not far away and suddenly felt a sense of comfort. The people in this company were not that bad. There was still hope. With this thought in mind, Pei Yunj was just about to go down when she suddenly heard a familiar voice. Yo, Miss Chiu is making a scene here. Miss Chin is also here? Pei Yunj stopped in her tracks. She was sure that this Miss Chin was referring to her. Pei Yunj had just turned around when she saw Chiu Han looking at a man with a beer belly with an ugly expression. Pei Yunj had been to the Qin Corporation a few times, so she knew Chiu Han. She was a gentle but resolute woman. Miss Chiu, I said that you can leave with your plan. Kong Kuoju did not hide his intention to target her. Chapter 1174. Mr. Kong, you haven't read my proposal yet. How do you know that Higgins doesn't need to work with us? Chiu Han didn't care about being wronged in the workplace, but she was annoyed by their hostile attitude towards the Qin group. Isn't it obvious enough? What I mean is, don't waste time. Our group will never work with the Qin group. After saying that, Kong Kuoju suddenly took out a cigarette and said with a smile, but if Miss Chiu wants to stay for a chat, I don't mind. This kind of malicious humiliation caused the people around them to laugh. Miss Chiu, don't be a joke. Exactly. Men don't like you when you look at your ugly face. Chiu Han suppressed the anger in her heart, but she could only smile. The research institute that has strategic cooperation with the Qin group is a first-class research institute in the country. We have the best team resources. Kong Kuoju suddenly looked Chiu Han up and down and asked, Miss Chiu, what are your measurements? Chiu Han's face instantly turned red. This was the first time she had been humiliated in public. Suddenly, a leisurely voice came from the side. What? Are you going to get breast implants and butt pads? His words caused everyone's smiles to freeze and the atmosphere to freeze. Kong Kuoju's face turned green and red. Eldest miss. Chiu Han didn't know why Pei Yunj was here. She didn't expect eldest miss's first sentence to be so fierce. If she offended Kong Kuoju, she might offend Higgins in the future. Chiu Han panicked for no reason. Just as she was about to say something to salvage the situation, she heard Pei Yunj's question. Who allowed you to smoke here? Everyone was speechless. This was the first time they saw someone being so arrogant in someone else's company. Chiu Han immediately pulled Pei Yunj behind her to protect her. Director Kong, since we can't work together this time, I'll look for you next time. With that, Chiu Han was just about to leave when Kong Kuoju stopped her. He sneered and asked, What do you mean? You want to leave just like that? Pei Yunj, who was pulled behind Chiu Han, thought about how this mess was hers and how the plan to steal a few 100 million yuan was also hers. Pei Yunj couldn't hold back her laughter when she saw that all the people smoking in the conference room were her employees. What a lousy company. If it wasn't for the fact that Nancy refused to leave no matter what, she wouldn't have taken over this kind of rotten company. When Pei Yunj's words fell into the ears of the others, it became a blatant provocation. The young miss of the Qin family is amazing, even the Higgins group doesn't like it. Someone immediately gloated. Director Kong, did you see it clearly? This is the attitude of the Qin family. Chiu Han's face darkened. You guys, at this time. Cheng Zihuai's tone was also cold as he mocked. Pei Yunj, I advise you not to cause trouble for your brother. The Higgins group is not something that the Qin family can afford to offend. So this is the famous young miss of the Qin family. Kong Kuoju sarcastically said, I didn't expect that in Miss Pei's eyes, our group has become a lousy company. Director Kong, before Chiu Han could finish, Kong Kuoju interrupted, I told you as long as I, Kong Kuoju, am alive, Higgins will never consider the Qin family. Don't you understand me? However, suddenly, a voice came from behind Kong Kuoju. What's wrong? Kong Kuoju looked flustered and immediately put out the cigarette. Boss Nya. Chapter 1175. As soon as Nyeyu came downstairs, he heard the commotion inside. Kong Kuoju immediately pushed the blame to Nyeyu and said sarcastically, Boss Nye, it's the Qin Group's people who are causing trouble in our company. They said that Higgins is a lousy company. Chiu Han's expression changed. Boss Nye, it's not like that. Compared to a small fry like Kong Kuoju, Chiu Han knew Nyeyu's position in Higgins better. It was the woman next to him who said it. Kong Kuoju immediately pointed at Pei Yungu and said fiercely. Nyeyu was initially annoyed, but when his gaze swept across Pei Yungu, his body instantly froze. I don't know where the Qin family got the guts to humiliate Higgins' group like this. However, I feel that there's no need for the Qin group to cooperate with us in the future. Kong Kuoju still looked excited as he splashed dirty water on the Qin group. Nyeyu's mind instantly went blank as if there was only a row of words left. He was King dead meat. It was obviously not a small matter for this ancestor to scold his own company in anger. Nyeyu's body started to freeze, and a chill ran down his spine. He did not know what expression he should have, nor did he hear what Chiu Han was explaining to him. In his heart, he wanted to press that brain-dead guy with the surname Kong to the ground and beat him up. He had guts. Of all the people he could have provoked, he had to provoke the one he shouldn't provoke the most. Boss Nye, let's talk upstairs. Pei Yunji's emotions could not be heard clearly. Nyeyu's legs were a little weak. Kong Kuoju, who was still scolding Pei Yungu at the side, did not realize that something was wrong. He watched as Pei Yungu minded her own business and entered the stairs first. Kong Kuoju did not forget to mock Nyeyu. Boss Nye, look, Miss Qin's temper is terrible. She even dares to walk in front of you. Nyeyu took a deep breath and resisted the urge to pull Kong Kuoju's head and slam it against the wall. Shut up. At this moment, Chiu Han chased after her anxiously. Miss Qin, let Boss Qin handle this matter. There's no need. I was the one who said that someone ruined the company just now. I just need to apologize. Pei Yungu suppressed her anger and was rather patient with Chiu Han. Chiu Han was speechless. When someone apologized, would they have an expression that said, I'll kill you if I don't go upstairs? Kong Kuoju laughed coldly. He was still waiting to go upstairs to watch the show. Nyeyu, who saw Kong Kuoju's expression, was speechless. Why had he been so blind to hire such a brainless person in the first place? Chiu Han watched as the elevator door closed. Although she was anxious, she could only call Qin Luyen. On the top floor, Kong Kuoju continued to be impassioned as soon as he entered the door. Boss Nye, the Qin group is looking down on our company. They are not fit to be our business partner. Before Kong Kuoju could finish speaking, he saw Pei Yungu sitting at the office table. This was the CEO's office. He heard that it was prepared for the boss who rarely came. What are you doing? How dare you? Before Kong Kuoju could scold her, he heard Nyeyu say with difficulty, Miss, please, calm down. Kong Kuoju could not react for a moment. What was going on? Nyeyu was Shang Yan's subordinate. He had never bowed to anyone. What was going on now? How did the young miss of the Qin family become the miss that Nyeyu was talking about? It was my dereliction of duty to not satisfy you at the initial stage of the establishment of Yun City's headquarters, Nyeyu continued. Kong Kuoju felt as if he had been struck by lightning when he heard this. Even if he did not understand, he could more or less guess Pei Yunji's identity. He remembered that the boss of the company was a woman. P.S. Good night. Chapter 1176. Kong Kuoju lifted his head abruptly, his pupils constricting. How was that possible? The young mistress of the Qin family was the boss of the Higgins group. Kong Kuoju felt as though he was soaked in cold water. He knew he was done for. He had already offended the boss. Nyeyu. Pei Yunj licked her lower lip, choosing her words carefully. Now that I think about how this lousy company is mine, I feel a little embarrassed. Nyeyu started to feel afraid. Who do you want to embarrass today? Pei Yunj played with the fountain pen in her hand and suddenly smiled mysteriously. I couldn't tell, but the company's sexism is quite deep-rooted. Why am I not allowed to eat at the table when the company's higher-ups gather in the future? Hearing this, Nyeyu's legs almost turned to jelly. No, absolutely not, Kong Kuoju shuddered. not daring to lift his head to look at Pei Yunj, especially when he thought of the words he had said downstairs. I said as long as I, Kong Kuoju, am alive, Higgins will never consider the Qin group. Kong Kuoju could not help but close his eyes. He had already predicted his ending. This time he was really done for. Boss, I was really wrong, I didn't know you were. Now that Kong Kuoju thought about what Qing Zihuai had said, he wanted to strangle Qing Zihuai to death. Did Pei Yunj need to suck up to her brothers and target Qin Youjiao? With her status, was it difficult to kill Qin Youjiao? Boss, I was listening to slander. It was Qing Zihuai who said that the Qin group did not respect Higgins at all and only wanted to cheat him of the opportunity to cooperate. Boss, I did it for Higgins, please forgive me this once. Kong Kuoju still had some brains and knew how to push the blame. However, Nyeyu already knew Pei Yunj's character. Kong Kuoju, you can leave Higgins now. Nyeyu's tone was cold. Boss, Kong Kuoju was unwilling to give up. After looking at Nyeyu, he looked at Pei Yunj again. A gloomy and cold smile quickly flashed across his eyes. However, after Kong Kuoju left, Pei Yunj then asked unhurriedly, who was the one who planned this public welfare fund project? Nyeyu suddenly reacted. He froze and looked in the direction where Kong Kuoju had left. He had handed this project to Kong Kuoju. After thinking about it, only Kong Kuoju had the highest chance of doing something. All the evidence must be gathered tonight. Don't let anyone escape. After Pei Yunj finished speaking, Nyeyu quickly said, all the evidence will be gathered in 4 hours. What about after that? Hearing this efficiency, Pei Yunj raised her eyebrows slightly and chuckled softly. She said casually, send a dishonest person to jail for more than 10 years first before someone learns to be obedient. In her previous life, the company that Pei Yunj's grandfather had left her was in a much better condition than the current Higgins group. The higher-ups were also the backbone. However, 3 years before Pei Yunj took over, she sent 7 of her subordinates to the police station. This made those who wanted to go to Pei Corporation to be commercial spies feel a chill down their spines. Downstairs, Kong Kuoju's expression was full of hatred. He could not wait to kill Pei Yunj on the spot. However, when he thought of how much he had earned from the Higgins Group's projects over the years, his expression became slightly better. He scolded fiercely, F***ck, you're just a little girl. Do you really think I can't do anything to you? Kong Kuoju went to pack his things with a long face. Downstairs, Chiu Han paced back and forth anxiously, only to see Nyeyu and Pei Yunj come down together. Chapter 1177. Chiu Han went up and hurriedly bowed to Nyeyu to apologize. Boss Nye, I'm really sorry, my miss. Before he could finish, a man hurriedly walked in from outside the door. His eyebrows were as handsome as ink, his black hair was blown into a mess, but it was slightly curly, making him look sexy. Under his black trousers, a pair of straight long legs were exceptionally eye-catching. Qin Luyan's voice was slightly cold and slow, but his gaze landed on Pei Yunj. Boss Nye, my girl is young, if you want to settle the score, let's settle it. Just now in the car, Qin Luyan had heard that Pei Yunj had offended Nyeyu. Pei Yunj raised his eyebrows, he was quite surprised that Qin Luyan would go against Nyeyu for his sake. Nyeyu was also a little terrified. Settle the score? He dared to settle the score with the boss's brother? Just a moment ago, Pei Yunj's tone was unprecedentedly gentle. Boss Qin, you must be joking big. Miss Pei is very good, it's our company's negligence. We've already decided to fire Kong Kuoju, as an explanation to your company, what do you think? After Nyeyu said this, Chiu Han's head was filled with question marks. Was he serious? They fired the founding elder of Higgins's dynasty just to give the Qin family an explanation? A ripple flashed across Qin Luyan's calm eyes as he looked at Pei Yunj again. Go home. Pei Yunj looked at Qin Luyan and was silent for a moment. Big brother. Qin Luyan's body froze, the indifference in his eyes also melted. He only replied in a low voice, okay. Pei Yunj seemed to have remembered something. She suddenly took the document from Chiu Han's hand and stuffed it into Nyeyu's hand. Boss Nye, you should have time to take a look at this cooperation plan, right? Pei Yunj asked casually. Nyeyu, F***ck, the boss was going to go through the back door personally. Yes, Mississippi, Nyeyu hurriedly replied. This scene was also inexplicably frightening. Boss Nye, what are you afraid of? In the car, Qin Luyan suddenly asked, do you know Nyeyu? Yes. Pei Yunj did not intend to hide it. Qin Luyan did not ask further. His face was calm, but his knuckles were faintly white. Today his relationship with Gur had improved a little. At least today Ger had taken the initiative to call him Big Brother. Thinking of this, Qin Luyan's lips curled into a smile. Pei Yunji, on the other hand, did not think of anything else. She was only playing with her phone, thinking about going to see Song Yao's crew in the afternoon. Huo Corporation. Luoxia took a deep breath and turned to look at Huoshidu. He accused, Huoshidu, this is kidnapping. I invited you to attend my union's banquet. Huoshidu was still dealing with work and did not look up at him. What college entrance examination? Did she do well? Luoxia could not help but ask. Zheng Su was even more excited than Huoshidu. The college entrance examination champion. She's ranked first in the country. Huoshidu was interrupted and looked up at Zheng Su calmly. She's that strong? After Luoxia said that, he suddenly realized, but a few days before the college entrance examination, wasn't she still in Continent K? This guy took the exam naked? So what? Let me tell you, our Miss Pei went for the exam with a high fever. Did you know? Second in the country, 10 points lower than her. What kind of difference is this in the college entrance examination where 1 point can defeat a whole group of people? Master Pei swept away thousands of people. Zheng Su began to ramble incoherently. However, the man beside him asked leisurely, Zheng Su, are you done? Zheng Su, oh no, he had stolen Master Du's chance to show off. Chapter 1178. I can't tell that the girl is a straight A student. Ever since Luoxia knew that Pei Yunji's family was well off and that she had 3 older brothers who doted on her with their lives, he had always defined Pei Yunji as a good-for-nothing second generation. Zheng Su, go out for a while. After Zheng Su left, Huoshidu asked casually, what do you want to say to me? Towards Pei Yunji, are you playing around or are you serious? Luoxia also knew that it was inappropriate for him to say this, but with Pei Yunji's situation, whether she was playing around or serious, it was quite scary. However, as soon as his voice fell, the man stopped writing the fountain pen in his hand and looked at Luoxia calmly. He slowly capped the pen. Do you think that I will waste time looking for someone to play with? This was what Luoxia was most afraid of. Luoxia took a deep breath and turned on the computer again. He passed his investigation and analysis to Huoshidu. His words were concise and to the point. I targeted some of the background information that you gave me in Pei Yunji's past tests. From a professional point of view, she has a very big problem. As a brother, I have to remind you that this is a problem. Luoxia saw that Huoshidu did not speak. He opened his mouth again and said, most of the serious problems like hers are caused by the environment in her early years. I have never encountered a patient like her type. If it was not for the new test instrument, he would not have been able to determine that Pei Yunji really had a problem. In other words, the most difficult thing to deal with was not Pei Yunji's condition, but Pei Yunji's unwillingness to cooperate, so he could not detect any problems with her. What are the chances of her being completely cured? The man lowered his eyes, not knowing what he was thinking. I have never seen her when she acts up, so I can't guarantee you. And I can't be sure if she inherited it. But the biggest problem right now is her compatibility. Luoxia was silent for a moment. Two-way type I disorder, some people will act up according to the season and there are 4 peaks. Have you come into contact with her at that time? The man lowered his eyes in silence. I still want to give you a piece of advice. Young girls are the most sensitive when they are in love. Maybe you like the Pei Yunji in front of you very much, but I don't know if you will be able to stand the Pei Yunji who acts up repeatedly. Luoxia sighed softly. I am saying all this for your own good and also for her own good. During the period of love, it may be a small matter, but for a person with two-way type I disorder, you don't know what she will think of. I have met a young woman in the past who almost killed her husband because of a small matter. Huoshidu only curled the corners of his lips indecipherable, lit the cigarette between his fingers, and blew out a beautiful smoke ring casually. Is that so? I am more afraid of what she will do to herself. Luoxia was silent for a long time. Huoshidu had fallen too thoroughly. Up to you. I can help you look after her, but as a biological brother, I will have to pay more. Luoxia did not forget to say. Alright, thanks. In the afternoon. Pei Yunji's eyelids twitched violently as she looked at the script. Boss, the madam has just finished the liver removal surgery. Does she know that she is wrong? The madam is no longer breathing. The results of the examination showed that the madam is 3 months pregnant. Pei Yunji fell into a long silence. She looked at Song Yao. Are you going to play the female lead? Song Yao shook her head. I will play the supporting role of the White Lotus, the male lead's first love. Pei Yunji thought for a long time and could only praise her. You have a bright future. Chapter 1179. Song Yao. Pei Yunj looked at Song Yao, who had no choice but to wear a cotton-padded jacket in the summer, and took out a fan to fan Song Yao. I really think our sister Yao is quite good. Looking at Song Yao's sullen face, Pei Yunj couldn't help but chuckle and coax her again. Song Yao deliberately remained expressionless. You think I'm suitable to play the White Lotus? Pei Yunj suppressed her smile and was quite sincere. I think you're suitable to play the first love. Song Yao's temperament was indeed too clean, and she looked gentle and weak. It made people feel that she was not mainstream and could not play the role of the main female lead. Therefore she could only play the second female lead. And at the side, the director looked at an extremely beautiful and bright girl and said something in Song Yao's ear with a smile, making Song Yao's ears turn red. The scene was so sweet that it was even more eye-catching than the scene where the main male and female lead were exchanging candy. The director walked over and sighed. My Song, why don't you let your friend act with you to get the feeling? Just now, I asked you to play the White Lotus sister who fawns over the male lead, but you gave me the feeling that you don't love men. Do you think you're worthy of your face? Song Yao. Pei Yunj lowered her head at the side. What are you laughing at? Song Yao was a little angry and bumped Pei Yunj's shoulder lightly. However, Pei Yunj took the opportunity to lean on Song Yao's shoulder and laughed so hard that her shoulders trembled. Pei Yunj leaned against Song Yao lazily, and her tone sounded quite sad. If it wasn't for her beautiful eyes that were captivating, no one would know. Tiantian, you're treating me too badly. No one knew if she was complaining or acting coquettishly. This was too ostentatious. The female stage supervisor's eyes lit up, and they almost howled out loud. What kind of damn beautiful love was this? Something was wrong, something was wrong. Could this be the legendary Restless Gold, who gave Song Yao his famous watch? But he was treating Song Yao's younger sister too well. He wasn't impatient with Song Yao at all. Instead, he was acting coquettishly, emptying his health bar. The director glanced at the plastic male and female lead who were acting with each other not far away, then looked at Pei Yunj, who was leaning on Song Yao's shoulder. His emotions were indescribable. I lost. Yesterday, when they were filming the kissing scene between the male and female lead, the stage supervisor's gazes were empty and lifeless. But now? The stage supervisors who had stayed up all day to film the makeup scenes last night had their eyes light up when they saw Song Yao and Luo Sang leaning against each other. Pei Yunj respected Song Yao's acting career and was acting with Song Yao at the side. For some reason, Song Yao was able to get into the zone easily. She was shy, dazed, and stuttered as she was slapped on the head. It wasn't the disgusting green tea but the true feeling of first love. This feels so right. The director was surprised and couldn't help but glance at Pei Yunj, who was beside him. One had to admit that Pei Yunj's aura was really strong. Although she was a girl, saying such scummy words of love did not maintain the peace at all. On the contrary, it made people want to fall into her hands and crazily want to date her. This face is too confusing. Is she a newcomer? The scriptwriter next to him couldn't help but sigh. Director, why don't you consider giving them a socialist sisterhood? I think it'll be a hit. Director. Can King afford it? The watch she gave Song Yao is already worth tens of millions. She's the mysterious sugar daddy? The scriptwriter had a look of, I've actually hit the real deal on his face. He was in disbelief and excitement. Chapter 1180. When it was almost done, the director hurried over. Song Yao, didn't you act pretty well? Why can't you match up with Wang Kai? Song Yao's eyebrows twitched at the thought of Wang Kai, who was playing the male lead. She suppressed the nausea in her stomach. Every time they filmed, Wang Kai liked to take the opportunity to act with Song Yao and take advantage of her. Pei Yunj also saw Song Yao's expression, which was quickly restrained, but she didn't say anything. Suddenly, a rather handsome man walked over. His expression, which he thought was the most handsome, made him look a little greasy. Director, is Yao Yao and I going to act together next? This nickname was very suggestive, and Pei Yunj's gaze turned cold. She looked up and glanced at Wang Kai. Suddenly she asked, What's this? The male lead? Wang Kai's face froze. Initially, when he saw Pei Yunj beside Song Yao, he felt an itch in his heart. He didn't know where Song Yao got such a beautiful friend from. But before he could show off in front of Pei Yunj, he heard Pei Yunj's question. Those who didn't know better would think that he was a plaything. Wang Kai, come, I'll bring you to meet Song Yao's sugar daddy, Abu friend. The director immediately pulled Wang Kai over and teased him. The director was a smart man. Obviously, he didn't want Wang Kai to get into a conflict with Pei Yunji here. He was indirectly telling Wang Kai not to provoke Pei Yunji. Wang Kai could only put on a fake smile. Hello, I'm the male lead of this movie, Wang Kai. Pei Yunji only raised his eyes slightly. Half of his eyes seemed to be immersed in the shadows under the tree. His aura was already difficult to approach. Hello, I'm Pei Yunji, who doesn't like it when people try to get close to Miss Song. Song Yao, the director. The surrounding floor attendants almost went crazy. They couldn't suppress their excitement. F***ck, this greeting is so good, sister. It's a bomb? Wang Kai is so pitiful. His aura is completely crushed. Where did Song Yao's sugar daddy get it from? I want the same type. Is there anyone willing to share it with me? Wang Kai could only put on a sullen smile. Miss Pei is really good at joking. Pei Yunji tilted her head back and finished the water. Then she casually twisted the mineral water bottle into a strip and casually threw it into the bin. She smiled lazily. Is that so? I'm not a person who can take stimulation. I can send anyone who dares to touch her to the hospital. Why don't you try? As soon as she finished speaking, she smashed the mineral water bottle into the bin. Everyone shuddered. At this moment, the atmosphere around them turned cold. Everyone suddenly came to their senses when they saw the irritable look in Pei Yunji's eyes and the faint smile on her face. Big bosses didn't act coquettishly in front of just anyone. Other than Song Yao, the others could only get beaten up. Song Yao tugged at the hem of Pei Yunji's shirt. Only then did Pei Yunji's face warm up a little. Don't scare people. Song Yao couldn't help but laugh. She stuffed another candy into Pei Yunji's mouth. Peel it yourself. My hands are dirty. Seeing this, everyone thought that Song Yao would be angry when she treated Big Boss so casually. However, Pei Yunji really picked up the lychee-flavored lollipop and slowly peeled it. However, before the others could be surprised, they saw Pei Yunji call out again. Song Yao instinctively turned around. She wanted to ask something, but Pei Yunji suddenly stuffed the candy into Song Yao's mouth. She snorted lazily. Who are you trying to fool? P.S. Good night. Chapter 1181. F***ck, their defense was broken. Everyone was caught off guard by this handful of sweets. Was it fun to throw sweets in front of them? However, Wang Kai's expression was dark and embarrassed. He was extremely unwilling to see a woman steal his limelight. Little Kai, don't take it too hard. The director patted him on the shoulder. Wang Kai did not say anything else. Pei Yunji spent the entire afternoon watching Song Yao's scenes. The gaze of death fell on Wang Kai, so much so that Wang Hua did not dare to touch Pei Yunji at all. He was afraid that Pei Yunji would come up and twist his neck like how she twisted the mineral water bottle earlier. After filming, Pei Yunji had originally planned to leave with Song Yao. However, she heard that the production crew had made a last-minute arrangement. According to Song Yao's explanation, a friend of the director had organized an esports live broadcast. They had arranged for a professional player to compete against a popular production crew. In the end, on the same day, more than half of the actors who had signed a contract with the production crew had left. Hence, Song Yao's director wanted to take advantage of the situation and help the production crew gain some popularity. It's a good thing. Everyone buck up. Perform well later. The director said excitedly. Pei Yunji stood at the side. Her finger pressed against the area between her thumb and index finger. Her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly as she looked at the director. The director's smile suddenly froze. He felt that his life was in danger. Song Yao's temper was indeed not that good. It should only take an hour. After the match, I'll accompany you to buy desserts. I still have the chocolates that I bought for you last time in my car. After Song Yao said that, the director felt that the danger was gradually disappearing. I don't really eat sweet things like this. That was what Pei Yunji said. Yeah, I really can't eat anymore. Do me a favor. Song Yao casually found an excuse for Pei Yunji. True enough. When they arrived at the venue, a few female stage supervisors saw that Pei Yunji was like a man. She carried a bag of snacks and happily walked to the first row with both hands in her pockets. The stage supervisor asked hesitantly, Song, this person in your family usually has a rather bad temper, right? Song Yao's lips curved. Occasionally, when I don't have time to bother with her, she will throw a tantrum. Usually she's very easy to coax. The stage supervisor was speechless. Was there something wrong with her mind? Why was it getting more and more out of control? Not long after, all the audience members had arrived. The live stream also started. As expected, the audience began to complain when they did not see the popular female lead. The netizens in the live stream were even more exasperated. It was only when the camera swept past and they saw Song Yao's first love face that some people were comforted. Is that Song Yao? Is that Song Yao? I'm shocked. When did she join the production team? She seems to be the second female lead in the production team of the CEO's Taboo X Love Next Door. The two production teams are going to compete together? Isn't this deliberately boosting Lei Ju's traffic? Song Yao's face is too limiting. She can't play the female lead at all. Forget it, my sister has a godly face too. I'll let her compete as long as she's not too noob. Are you crazy? Why do you have to invite a group of actors to compete? Stop faking it in the esports industry. Don't say that. Wang Kai is very good at gaming. He used to be a youth trainee in the RS team. Later on, his family did not allow him to. Hearing this, the others were a little hopeful. Meanwhile, the esports fans were too lazy to turn on their microphones. They only paid attention to the two esports teams at the back, hoping to see them compete. However, as the camera swept past, a sharp-eyed veteran esports fan suddenly stared at the girl in the first row who was wearing a mask and staring at a paper bag. The girl in the first row looks familiar. I think I've seen her somewhere. Chapter 1182. Did I see wrongly? The veteran esports fan hesitantly sent a message, thinking that no one would reply. Then someone quietly replied. I think I saw it too. Is it Yishin? Very soon. The conversation between the veteran esports fans was flooded. The other esports fans didn't notice their conversation. And the netizens who came to join in the fun didn't know who Yishin was either. Wang Kai's wife is so handsome. Brother Kai's face is torn apart. Faced with this group of fans' brainless praises, the rest of the fans turned off their microphones in order to avoid being slandered. However, the esports fans couldn't take it anymore. Are your eyes blind? Song Yao is sitting next to you. Who are you calling a beauty? Is this the standard of Song Yao's fans? Even the senior is trying to scam? Is the fandom nowadays like this? She's ugly and greasy to begin with. Why can't people talk about her? What's wrong with them? If Song Yao's fans were that bold, would Song Yao be scolded so badly by them? Song Yao's fans who were peeping. Oh. The argument between Song Yao's fans and Wang Kai's fans had happened a few days ago. Everyone still remembered it. However, because Song Yao had very few fans, she was scolded badly by Wang Kai's fans. Words like, pimping on women, green tea bitch seducing their brother, get out of the entertainment industry, flooded Song Yao's comment section. However, Song Yao had always been in a good mood. She didn't mind it too much and didn't tell Pei Yunj about it. Some of the netizens felt their hearts ache, especially when they found out that Song Yao was preparing for her college entrance examination. Although Song Yao had a pure and innocent face, she had never played tricks and didn't like to talk to the male actors in the production team. So much so that her fans wondered if Song Yao had no interest in men. Until a while ago, the paparazzi took a photo of Wang Kai hugging Song Yao. Song Yao was scolded so badly that she lost 2 endorsement deals that she had gone to great lengths to sign. Preparations for the competition. Wang Kai seemed to finally be able to hold his head high. He smiled confidently and didn't forget to glance at Pei Yunj, who was not far away, with a contemptuous expression. After that, Wang Kai borrowed an account from an esports player he was close with and logged into the competition venue. The atmosphere was heated up. F***CK, Brother Kai is using the account of HK Team Kaka. They actually know each other? Just by looking at his appearance, Wang Kai is indeed amazing. He actually managed to borrow Kaka's account. While the esports fans commented on it, Wang Kai's fans didn't forget to insult Song Yao. Song Yao is so good at sticking to others. Did he stick to any esports player? Get someone to give him an account? Are you Wang Kai fans sick in the head? It's none of your business whose account Song Yao borrows. I'm dying of laughter. Song Yao's fans are too bad-mouthed. Who said they are Wang Kai fans? Don't randomly use fan accounts. During the discussion, Wang Kai even asked Song Yao magnanimously, do you know any professional players? If you use a private account, it's unlikely that you'll be able to win. It's okay if you don't, I can. A private account is pretty good too. Thank you. Song Yao thanked him casually. After a while, she suddenly thought of something. The last time she begged Pei Yunj to help her get an account, Pei Yunj had secretly changed her ID. Her name was even called Master Pei's Little Fairy. Song Yao, not long after. Pei Yunj, who was in the first row, received Song Yao's message. Sister Yao. Yungu, ? Sister Yao, do you have an account to lend to me? Pei Yunj took a while to react. Then she remembered what she had done previously. Pei Yunj looked up and saw Song Yao looking at her expressionlessly. Chapter 1183. Pei Yungu immediately replied. Yungu, yes. Pei Yungu handed over his account and password to Song Yao with both hands. At this moment, after being rejected, Wang Kai sneered and crossed his arms, waiting for Song Yao to make a fool of himself. The other actresses in the crew asked the esports players on the spot to help them borrow an account. Only Song Yao was arrogant. He wanted to see what low-level account Song Yao was going to take out. Song Yao still didn't know what account he had in his hand, nor had he played a duo with Pei Yungu. However, under Wang Kai's dazzling display, the other members of the crew borrowed the accounts of some small teams, which were not eye-catching. No one was interested either. Until the next moment, Song Yao obediently logged in according to the account password. Suddenly, a special entrance effect of a max-level account appeared on the screen. Because the venue was meticulously prepared, it was almost a semi-projection of 3D. It was cool and shocking. Welcome, earn 100 million first, to the team competition. Many people who didn't know this nickname subconsciously looked at the win rate. Win rate, 100%. A max-level account actually had a 100% win rate? Everyone's hair stood on end. F***ck, I'm not dreaming? A boss with a max-level account? Kaka doesn't seem to be at the max level yet. F***ck, 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 F***ck. It's Ishin's account, it's Ishin. Song Yao is awesome. There's actually someone who can get the account of Ishin? How did he do it? At this time, Wang Kai's fans started to make a few untimely remarks. Tsuke, the tea master, is amazing. How else can he get it? He just has to sleep with her. However, the effect of these words far exceeded everyone's expectations. Although Ishin's fans were very easygoing, their numbers were unexpectedly large, and they immediately beat up Wang Kai's fans. You look at your brother's mutilated face every day, and your ego has gone to your head, right? Who doesn't know that I, Ishin, am a girl? Ha ha ha, when Ishin beckons, your brother can only get Neely if he wants to get the number tag of love. Don't touch my noble and cool Ishin, thank you. F***ck, Sister Yao made it real just to get the Ishin account? Noble and cool Ishin abused his heart to chase after his wife? I've already come up with a novel about a tycoon's forbidden love. It's much better than that CEO's forbidden love. Stop it. Stop it. She's an unknown actress a popular esports god. If Sister Yao can get Ishin to come out and play a match today, I'm willing to grit my teeth and finish watching this ridiculous drama of hers. I'll offer up some meager viewership ratings. Plus 10086. This was the first time Wang Kai had been scolded so much that she was speechless. She clearly realized that this Ishin was an existence that she could not afford to offend. Although many people on the internet did not like to talk about being a couple, they could tell that Ishin and Song Yao had a very good relationship. Otherwise, she would not have borrowed his account. Therefore, they turned a blind eye to the couple's behavior. However, the scene was out of control. What's going on? Song, where did you get a max-level account? The female lead beside her was also stunned. Song Yao was speechless. She did not expect that the account that Pei Yunj gave her would be a max-level account. It was the popular one in the esports circle. Earn 100 million first. Song Yao did not dare to look up at Pei Yunj. She could only see from the corner of her eye that Pei Yunj was sleeping while avoiding the camera. However, she could not sleep well either. This was because of the incessant screams in the arena. Ah, it's Ishin. I'm going crazy. No one had expected that an ordinary esports celebrity show would be able to get a Ishin account. Chapter 1184. Sister Yao, you're awesome. Someone below the stage shouted excitedly. Song Yao, who was unaware of the situation, Sister Yao, I beg you, let Billion Deity come out and compete. Sister Yao, has Billion Deity stayed at your house before? Someone suddenly asked. In the end, someone started to jeer. Song Yao, not only had he stayed at my house, but he was also sitting in the first row watching the competition. Sister Yao, let Billion Deity come out and compete. I'm willing to watch your new drama 10 times. I'll open 10 computers for you to watch. I'll book an entire internet cafe for you to watch. At this moment, everyone in the production crew realized what it meant to be the most popular. Meanwhile, Wang Kai's expression was extremely ugly. He had not expected that Song Yao would actually get Billion Deity's account. Some people in the live stream also reacted. I think I saw Billion Deity just now. She's in the front row. Me too. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. Everyone in the live stream was begging the cameraman to move to the first row. Unfortunately, the cameraman did not watch the live stream, which made Billion Deity's fans howl in anger. At this moment, the director was also confused. Who is Billion Deity? The scriptwriter rolled his eyes. A super godly esports big boss. Although she doesn't really participate in competitions, she's very popular, almost on par with Almighty Qin. Also, Billion Deity's popularity overseas is much higher than in China. She's the top 1 player on the K-continent's leaderboard. She's that good? The director was shocked. The scriptwriter laughed coldly. Let me tell you, Song Yao is going to come out of the closet one day, saying that she's with Billion Deity. Do you believe that this godly drama of yours will explode in all directions? Director, on the stage. The esports players of the 2 teams were also silent. F***CK Billion Deity's account. Who dared to move? Can they still play? Someone asked cautiously and hesitantly. If they messed with Song Yao, would Billion Deity open the main god's map overnight and come after them with a knife? These words were recorded, but uncharacteristically, no one in the live stream blamed the players for going easy on them. Ha ha ha, Sister Yao has become a god with Billion Deity backing her. You really can't blame the players, Billion Deity is famous for shielding her, haha. Don't be a coward, bro. Go and cut down Billion Deity's win rate now, then immediately start the live stream and let Billion Deity cut you down. The live stream will definitely be full. Do you understand the password to wealth? We're earning money from licking blood from the edge of a knife. Damn, the sister above is so ruthless, ha. Now that you mention it, I think Billion Deity really spoils Sister Yao. Who would be willing to lend her a 100% win rate? Finally, when the competition began, even the organizers did not expect that the live stream would be paralyzed. Therefore, they discussed to have professional players and celebrities mix and match, and they could also hire external help. Hearing that, everyone started contacting external help. Wang Kai invited Xiao Ji, which attracted a lot of attention. But after all, Billion Deity had appeared before them, so they were not that surprised. Meanwhile, Song Yao was hesitating. She did not want Pei Yunj to owe others a favor on her behalf. But not long after. Suddenly, someone sent her a message and the dialogue box was directly displayed on the screen. HK Team Yoi, this person from Billion Deity's family? Do you need external help? How about me? Everyone was shocked. Wasn't this the captain of HK Team? However, before they could calm down, another big shot came to ask. RS Team, Dai Ching. Miss Song Yao, do you need external help? I can fly with you too. Then, Song Yao was pulled into a group, and it was filled with the top big shots in the industry. RS Team, then, brothers, don't fight over it. There are still a few competitions left, and everyone is here to show their face to Billion Deity. There's no need to make things awkward, right? P.S. Good night. End of this chapter. Chapter 1185. When the other players saw the ferocious speech in the Big Shots group chat, they were even more shocked. You're already such a big shot, yet you've never thought about being a human? And you're even going to Billion Deity to show your face? The people in the live stream almost stopped breathing from laughing. I really didn't expect that my big shot, Jin, would become a lackey leader one day. Why do I feel like laughing so much? F***CK, a big shot playing with us? What kind of dream is this of a billion esports fans? Sob, Yao Yao has grown up. She actually got Billion Deity. I'm going crazy. Yao Yao has suddenly turned into a queen and is choosing a big shot to play with. Billion Deity, you'll really fall into the hands of a woman if you pamper her so much. You'll fall into the hands of a woman. Spectres muttering, ha, I give up. This time Wang Kai's fans are so angry that their hearts are hurting. Indeed. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai's fans turned off their microphones. Even Song Yao's agent, who was originally waiting in the limousine, accidentally clicked on Song Yao's personal account and realized that something was amiss. It was still 10.5 million yesterday. Now it had soared to 16 million. And it was still breaking through? It had only been a few hours? Song Yao's agent reacted and immediately clicked on the comments section where Song Yao was being scolded. He did not expect the scene to change. The hot comments were all about Song Yao and Billion Deity. What's the relationship between Song and Billion Deity? Song Yao's agent was still puzzled. Scrolling down to read the comments, not only were Billion Deity's fans happy, but there were also Wang Kai's fans who had scolded Song Yao previously. However, they were torn apart by Billion Deity's fans and did not dare to retort. Billion Deity's friendship, love, will be protected by us. No, Sister Yao, please do a good deed and let Billion Deity come out to compete. This child has not seen Daddy Billion in a long time. Sob sob sob. Billion Deity's family is seducing your brother? An unknown celebrity is trying to make trouble with my top esports girl? Puzzled, Song Yao's agent's eyes were unfocused. She suddenly felt that the world had become unfamiliar, at the same time. On the stage, with a big shot leading the way, Song Yao's team members were indeed winning without doing anything. However, they did not expect that halfway through the match, Dai Cheng and Kaka would be fighting energetically. Wang Kai did not know what was on his mind, but he was only chasing after Song Yao's account. Although Song Yao's maneuvering was not bad, she was indeed not as good as Wang Kai, who had almost entered Team 2. Billion Deity's winning rate was cut down. The live broadcast room was extremely distressed. Everyone was scolding Wang Kai. What's wrong with Wang Kai? Chasing after Song Yao and attacking? No way, no way. Cutting down Billion Deity's account can satisfy his pleasure? Esports fans were more or less biased. After all, in their hearts, Billion Deity was an incomparable big shot. He was in existence on the same level as Almighty Qin. Especially when they saw Wang Kai apologizing with a greasy smile while beating up Song Yao. Billion Deity is so great? He can't even touch her? Esports players can't even afford to play. What a joke. Who can't afford to play? He doesn't dare to provoke other esports players, so he chases after a female celebrity. Is he very cool? After the match, Dai Cheng easily crushed Kaka, but Song Yao was also abused very badly. According to the score of this round, Song Yao's team lost. Song Yao, follow me later, Dai Cheng said indifferently. Song Yao smiled faintly. No need. She followed Dai Cheng. Dai Cheng had to destroy a tower with a human head and protect her. She was going to lose the next round. Dai Cheng did not say anything. When the next round started, Dai Cheng tried his best to control the time and kill Kaka as soon as possible. Chapter 1186. But Dai Cheng was also a little angry. He wanted to kill Wang Kai first, but Kaka kept pestering him. These two didn't seem to want to win, they just wanted to deliberately increase Billion God's chances of winning. Who was they trying to disgust? And the mission that Billion Gods gave them was to just bring Song Yao to win. Seeing that Billion Gods' chances of winning had dropped to 99%, Billion Gods fans almost exploded. And the people in the first row just looked at the screen indifferently. Song Yao's team still had a good chance of winning. Currently it was 2-1. Song Yao, if you can't do it, then hide over to my side, Dai Cheng didn't forget to say to Song Yao. Song Yao responded and could only deal with Wang Kai, who was sticking to her. But 10 minutes later, no one expected that Song Yao would suddenly go all out. While Wang Kai wasn't paying attention, she used a skill and the two of them ended the match. F***ck, Sister Yao is pretty good. She's a bit like Billion Gods. She has a pure and harmless face, but she's using the most ruthless moves. As expected of someone who was taught by Billion Gods. Yes, Wang Kai was a youth trainee after all. It's good enough that he could draw. I was originally a fan of Wang Kai, but now, no matter how I look at it, I feel disgusted. This match, Song Yao actually didn't have it easy. Opposite her, Wang Kai's expression was a little ugly. Clearly, he hadn't expected that Song Yao would play this move without a care for her life. But with Song Yao finishing off Wang Kai, Dai Cheng still won. The stadium was filled with cheers. Sister Yao is so strong. Someone shouted to cheer for Song Yao. Upon seeing this, the person in the first row who was pulling his hat to cover his eyes, could not help but curl his lips lazily, mouthing two words to Song Yao, not bad. Song Yao felt a little embarrassed. As for the rest, many of them felt sorry for the soft-hearted girl who was trying to perish together with her opponent. Hets. Suddenly they heard someone shouting at the top of his voice. Billion Gods, are you sure you can do it? Are you going to watch as your wife is being abused? Pei Yunj was speechless. Immediately afterward, the originally angry atmosphere was instantly amused and became much more harmonious. No one was sure whether Billion Gods was present or not. They just wanted to cheat and see. However, No one noticed that a few minutes later, the person in the first row really put on his coat lazily, lowered his hat and walked toward the door. Song Yao glanced in the direction where Pei Yunj had left and did not think much of it. He was prepared to rest for a while before starting the next round. Backstage. Song, I'm a fan of Billion Gods. Can I have Billion Gods' contact information? The female lead asked excitedly. Song Yao hesitated. I'll go back and ask? Oh really? Thank you, Song. The female lead's eyes lit up. When the others heard this, they immediately pounced forward to inquire. Song Yao was tight-lipped. She knew how to protect Pei Yunj's identity. She smiled warmly and stealthily changed the topic. Until she returned to the stage. Originally, it was Jian who wanted to go on stage and bring Song Yao along. However, just before the team was formed, Song Yao suddenly saw a message request. User XUAJY had requested to join the team battle. It was a smurf account with no level. Before Song Yao could react, there was a burst of excited screams from the audience. Billion Gods. Song Yao came back to her senses and realized that the first letter was spelled, earn 100 million first. The live stream exploded. F*CK. Billion Gods is really here? Isn't this the spelling of a smurf Billion Gods? Ha ha ha, isn't Wang Kai going to die? Chapter 1187. Are Wang Kai's fans ready? I'm going to die. Yixin is actually here. Sob, the woman at the top of the esports food chain. There were more and more people in the livestream room. Even the hashtag Song Yao Yixin had rushed to the top of the trending search list. Then half of the esports circle was mobilized just to watch Yixin's livestream. Wang Kai's expression was ugly. The hand that was holding the mouse was trembling slightly. Even though he had left the circle, he knew what kind of status Yixin had in the circle. But, was it really Yixin? At this moment, Song Yao hesitated for a moment and sent a message to XUY. Where are you? After typing this sentence, Song Yao deleted it again and sent another sentence. What happened to you? The people in the livestream room were scratching their heads as they looked at the chat box. In the internet cafe, Pei Yunj casually put his jacket aside and threw the plastic bag to the side. Then he leisurely typed on the keyboard. I have to do it. I can't watch my family get beaten up. Just as this message was sent, Song Yao could almost imagine this person's mischievous look. But because Pei Yunj was responding to what he had just said, there was another round of excited screams. Yixin would also joke in private. But in the eyes of the audience, Yixin and a soft girl like Song Yao were together. It was as if Yixin was bullying Song Yao every day, but there was actually a bit of flirting. Song Yao gathered her thoughts and looked at the others. She asked politely, can she be our external help? Everyone was speechless. Was this King 360-degree spiraling technique okay? But there were also people who were worried. Yixin is opening a new account. Isn't the level difference too big? There's no need to look down on others. After all, Kaka is still very powerful. Yixin's maneuvering is a little funny. Following that, Song Yao connected to her mic. She tried to ask, is the new account okay? Unexpectedly, the other party had already used a voice changer to adjust his voice. You can't say that I can't. Song Yao was speechless. There was laughter in the live streaming room. Ha, Yixin is openly flirting. I've reported him. Sister Yao, the pretty girl is speechless. Song Yao's eyelids twitched. She was a little worried that Pei Yunj would put her reputation on the line. I'm serious. There are professional players on the other side. That person's lazy voice could be heard leisurely. Do you still need to look at who the other party is? As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere immediately exploded. My Yixin has cracked. He has exploded. My Yixin has fallen. The competition was about to begin. Wang Kai took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He did not believe that anyone could use a smurf account to compete with a professional player who was close to the maximum level. At the thought of this, Wang Kai's gaze was fixed on Pei Yunj. There was a strange glint in his eyes. As long as he could kill Yixin in this round, he would definitely attract a lot of attention. He could even let the company buy trending searches and trample on Yixin, who was worshipped by everyone, to gain more attention and popularity. At the same time, compared to Dai Cheng and the others who were present just now, Song Yao also ran to Pei Yunj's side very naturally. Ha ha ha, Sister Yao is openly hugging his thigh. She was still cold to Dai Cheng just now. Once Yixin returned, Sister Yao changed. I don't believe that there's nothing fishy about this. Seeing Song Yao using Yixin's account to seek protection from a level 0 smurf account, the scene was inexplicably hilarious. Chapter 1188. When Wang Kai saw this scene, he sneered. He was controlling his character to deal with the others nearby. But 3 minutes later, Xiwajui effortlessly took the first clear on Kaka. The strongest esports player in the team was sliced like a cabbage in the hands of this person? It made the other opponent's hair stand on end. Damn. What kind of walking human head reaper was this? F*CK, 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 Kaka who achieved the first kill in 3 minutes at level 0? This is fucking cheating. 100 million deities basic operation, sit down. Ha 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 ha. Million gods, that's it? Okay, now everyone can watch and see what it means to bring a girl to play. I've earned it, I've earned it. I can actually see million gods in a celebrity show. Then came the next. The screen showed a level 0 alt account slowly harvesting heads. She seemed to be operating it effortlessly. It was as if the battlefield was her home ground. As for the audience, they were so shocked that their blood was boiling when they saw a million gods operation. This was a true level 0 alt account crushing the whole field and beating them with her strength. But very soon the audience realized the problem. The last person left was Wang Kai. He was the warrior who chased after Song Yao in the previous 2 rounds. Wang Kai was so nervous that his hand that was holding the mouse was sweating. At this moment, Pei Yunj finished the last cut and turned to look at Wang Kai. He asked in a calm and leisurely voice, "Friend, I heard that you're very good at hacking?" Wang Kai was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. His mind was in a mess and his back was getting cold. Obviously, Million Gods was here to support Song Yao. Ha ha, Million Gods, your grudge is too obvious. Light a stick of incense for warrior Wang Kai. It's been a long time since someone has been remembered by Million Gods. In this lifetime series, I actually ate the candy given by Million Gods. Subsequently, Pei Yunj threw away the weapon with high damage and randomly picked up a low-level weapon. Wang Kai gritted his teeth and made up his mind. He planned to learn from Song Yao and fight it out with Pei Yunj. No matter what, it could be considered as a slap to Million God's face. But he did not expect that Pei Yunj's control and positioning would be faster. He was unable to use his high-end skill points after this move left him in a critical condition. Kaka, who was watching the battle from the side, felt his scalp go numb. He recalled the time when Pei Yunj destroyed his camp with 5 kills in half a minute. Million Gods was still Million Gods. He was simply not human. What's the hurry? Don't be in a hurry to die. Pei Yunj's tone was leisurely as if he was teasing, but there was no warmth in it. Subsequently, others saw that Pei Yunj's slash only left a little bit of Wang Kai's HP. This was not killing, it was killing. In such a big public place, Pei Yunj only left Wang Kai alone. He slowly slashed his HP bit by bit. Opposite him, Wang Kai's face was green and red. His hands were holding onto the keyboard, and his entire body was trembling with anger. The fans in the live streaming room also began to curse. What does Million Gods mean? Just because you are a professional player, you humiliate an artist like this? Do you have any upbringing? That's too intolerant, isn't it? Is this the attitude of a god in the esports circle? He's openly targeting Wang Kai. However, Million Gods fans had long been displeased with Wang Kai because of the fact that his winning percentage had been slashed. Is it a dog who is chasing after Song Yao? Puzzled? You don't have to care about what happens in the esports circle. When Million Gods was winning glory for the country, your brother was probably still repairing his face in the factory. It's good that you know this is the esports circle. Here, being noob is the original sin. P.S. Good night. Can I get some monthly votes from this kid today? Chapter 1189. Most of Wang Kai's fans did not know how many fans Yixin had. However, at this moment, when they saw Yixin's fans flooding the live stream with one sentence, they felt helpless. They knew that they had provoked a big shot. Then, Pei Yunj slowly hacked for more than 10 minutes before he completely sent Wang Kai away. It was a crushing victory. In the next round, Pei Yunj repeated the same action. Wang Kai was so angry that he almost threw his mouse and left. However, the director immediately pulled him back and persuaded him. If his relationship with Yixin became strained, it would be impossible for him to establish an esports persona in the future. Wang Kai took a deep breath and could only endure it. There were people in the live stream who could not help but sigh. Yixin is really arrogant. It can't be helped. A lot of people like her. It's human nature to admire the strong. When Yixin was playing in a professional competition, even the boss of the opposing team came to support Yixin. This is top-notch. Yixin is lawless. Yixin is lawless. Plus 10,086. You're blaming your girlfriend for dragging you down. Come and take a good look. Yixin is leading the entire team. To be honest, it's so cool to be led by Yixin. As long as Yao Yao's sister is injured, Yixin will cripple her. This esports friendship is so damn sweet. After 3 rounds, Wang Kai's expression was ugly. He went straight to Song Yao's resting room to apologize to her. Song Yao raised her eyebrows in surprise. Then she saw Pei Yunj leaning against the door from the corner of her eyes. Got it? You can go back. Song Yao responded politely. After Wang Kai left, she was silent for a moment. Yixin? Song Yao played God Maps too. She knew what level Yixin was in the esports circle. But she did not expect Yixin to be by her side. He even worked tirelessly to help her level up. Pei Yunj rubbed the back of her fair neck. She did not meet Song Yao's gaze. I think so. Song Yao, the atmosphere was silent again. If you tell me one day that you're Yixin, I might not be surprised, Song Yao said slowly. She could not tell if she was angry or not. Pei Yunj, Song Yao had always been interested in Yixin. The reason was that Yixin had been her recommendation. If Pei Yunj had not stopped her, Song Yao might have wanted to learn computer science to be closer to Yixin. Pei Yunj let out an ah, and quickly changed the topic. Later, my brother will come to find me. Song Yao did not need to think to know which brother it was. Pei Yunj even asked, want to have a meal together? Song Yao, we'll talk about it later. If your brother comes, you can leave with him first. Song Yao really thought so. Pei Yunj, on the other hand, did not know if Song Yao was angry or not, so she stayed. After the competition ended, Pei Yunj sat in the first row with her eyes closed. She crossed her arms lazily and dozed off. Song Yao had just sat on Pei Yunj's left when she realized that there was a man sitting on Pei Yunj's right. Under the dim lights, the man's light-colored eyes were devoid of emotion. His outstanding looks made one unable to take their eyes off him. He looked at Pei Yunj next to her lazily. His well-defined hand was carrying the bag of snacks for Pei Yunj. Pei Yunj's hand was still hooked around the bag. She did not realize that the weight was wrong. Suddenly, Pei Yunj's head leaned towards Song Yao. He leaned on her shoulders steadily. Song Yao felt Huashidu's gaze shift. The next moment, Song Yao sensibly stretched out her index finger and gently tapped on Pei Yunj's forehead, pushing it in the opposite direction. Pei Yunj leaned on the man's shoulder again. Chapter 1190. Song Yao tugged at her cloak and left without saying a word. Only then did the people around them realize that a handsome and noble man had appeared out of nowhere. He had actually beaten up Song Yao's bad-tempered friend and carried her up. Everyone's eyes widened. This was the official couple. Were they here to take it seriously? In the man's arms, the girl, whose face could not be seen clearly, placed her slender wrist lazily on the man's shoulder. She looked up at him with sleepy eyes. Where are my snacks? Huashidu laughed. Seng Su took them. The man's body exuded a faint but unique fragrance. There was also a faint smell of tobacco. It was gentle and magical. His warmth spread from his chest, making one's heart palpitate uncontrollably. Pei Yunj's eyes were unclear, but a feeling called possessiveness suddenly welled up in her mind. She didn't want Huashidu to hug someone else like this again. Pei Yunj rarely interacted with Huashidu so intimately, especially in public. Although she enjoyed the steadiness of this embrace, she gradually woke up. She looked up and saw the man's clean and distinct jawline. His sexy Adam's apple was slightly protruding, and her heart couldn't help racing. Brother, you should put me down. Although Pei Yunj noticed that Seng Su had a numb and natural expression on his face, she felt inexplicably awkward. Pei Yunj, who was used to not being a person, felt guilty for the first time. Huashidu had always respected Pei Yunj's wishes, so he agreed. However, for some reason, Pei Yunj felt that the man's attitude towards her today was indifferent. Pei Yunj hesitated for a moment. Just as she was about to go over and pull the sleeve of his suit, the man avoided her, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Pei Yunj? ? Did this dog have eyes in the back of his head? However, the next moment, Pei Yunj received Song Yao's message and opened it. Yao Mimi, your brother's gaze is too scary, bitter. Song Yao met the gaze of death for the first time. Yungu? Yungu, he's showing me the greatest respect by not going out to seduce others. Pei Yunj had always felt that Huashidu was polite and gentle to everyone. In layman's terms, the dog seemed to be flirting with everyone. Sister Yao, you're wrong. Sister Yao, if you keep this attitude, your brother will devour you until not even your bones are left. Although Song Yao did not have much experience, this was the first time she had met a man like Huashidu. Although he did not seem to care about anything, it seemed that only Pei Yunj was present. His peripheral vision was always on her. Moreover, when Pei Yunj leaned on her shoulder just now, Song Yao could almost feel how scary the man's gaze was. If she was a man, Song Yao did not doubt that Huashidu would cripple her. When Pei Yunj saw the message, the corners of her eyes twitched slightly. What a mess. Sister Yao, grr, don't treat a wolf like a little wolf dog. There's a difference between a wolf and a dog. The way that man looked at Pei Yunj was obviously possessive. However, Pei Yunj still fooled around every day without knowing anything. She was not afraid that she would not regret it when the time came. Song Yao's advice was meaningless. Pei Yunj, who had nothing to do every day, fooled around, turned off her phone again. Looking at the man's slender and good-looking back view, the corners of her lips curled up slightly. It was a little familiar. Before the man could react, he suddenly heard a soft sound behind him, accompanied by Pei Yunj's voice. The man instinctively turned his head, but was bumped into by someone. Chapter 1191. Huashidu instinctively reached out to hold her arm. When he lifted his eyes, he saw her smiling at him. He said lazily, "What are you doing? Are you trying to blackmail me?" "Nothing." Pei Yunj smiled and stood on her tiptoes to look at him. "I'm touching you, brother." Seng Su's eyelids twitched. Miss Yunji's flirting skills were not bad at all. However, for some reason Huashidu was about to let go of her hand, but Pei Yunj held it tightly. The man stared at her for a while, but in the end he gave in and allowed her to lead him downstairs. However, as soon as they got downstairs, someone called Huashidu. Pei Yunj could only hear the man lowering his voice and dealing with the person on the phone indifferently. "I'll look for you in a few days." "Okay. All right." The man didn't say anything, but Pei Yunj let go of Huashidu's hand and sat in the passenger seat to wait for him. Huashidu looked at her from the corner of his eye. He was about to sit in the driver's seat and take Pei Yunj to dinner. However, he saw Pei Yunj leaning against the window, tapping the window with her fingertips and staring at him with her beautiful eyes. The man was indeed the most eye-catching person in the crowd. Today the man was wearing a black suit as usual, but inside he was wearing a blue cotton shirt. 2 buttons were loosened lazily, revealing his collarbone, which made his skin look dazzlingly fair. As he spoke on the phone, he glanced at her from the corner of his eye. The way he raised his eyebrows was inexplicably sexy and seductive. "Sit properly and behave." Huashidu's words were obviously not directed at the person on the phone, but at her. And the person on the phone was silent for a moment. The next moment, Pei Yunj suddenly curved her lips, leaned half of her body out of the car window, and moved closer to the man. She raised her eyebrows and asked arrogantly, "Huashidu, who are you talking to?" Seng Su, who was next to her, looked at Pei Yunj with the words, "I'm up to no good" written all over her face. Miss Pei was out of control. Yuhan Ran was silent for a moment on the phone. "That ancestor of yours?" She actually called Huashidu by his full name. She was really spoiled by Huashidu. The man chuckled softly and glanced at her casually. "Yeah, he's not an ancestor." Just now, Yuhan Ran was discussing how to get Huashidu to help persuade the 2 elders of the Yu family to let Yuman Ran go on a blind date. If this matter continued to develop, Yuman Ran might really want to cut ties with the Yu family. And Pei Yunj felt that the other party had mentioned her on the phone, so she silently prepared to shrink back. But the next moment, "Let's talk next time, I still have something to do," Huashidu said casually and hung up the phone. He conveniently wrapped his arms around her slender waist again. He easily held her in place. She couldn't retreat even if she wanted to. Huashidu threw the phone into his pocket and raised his alluring eyes. Pei Yunj also felt the man's fingertips on her waist, rubbing inch by inch. It was extremely ambiguous and deadly. "You came out and want to shrink back without doing anything. Are you a tortoise?" Pei Yunj, out of the corner of her eye, Pei Yunj could already feel the gazes of the surrounding people. "You," Pei Yun's heart was beating like a drum and she was a little stiff. The man's thin red lips curled up. The low laughter of a venomous person fell on her ears with ambiguous heat. "You are so thin-skinned, little girl." Washidu was in a good mood. He stretched out his hand and pinched the young lady's cheek. Pei Yun's face was burning red. Washidu held the car window with one hand and watched Pei Yun sit back down before returning to the driver's seat. Chapter 1192. When Pei Yun and Washidu left, Song Yao was standing at the door and saw what had just happened. Song Yao sighed softly. It was hopeless. Pei Yun had been the top scorer in the country and old Madame Hua had been happy for an entire week. However, not long after, everyone saw that old Madame Hua was so happy that she wanted to take Pei Yun out with her. Tseng Su wanted to say something but hesitated. In the past few days, Master Du had specially assigned work to accompany Miss Pei out. Grandma Yun doesn't have time. Washidu hung up the phone and turned to look at her. What do you mean? Doesn't want to go out with me? After old Madame Hua finished speaking, she turned to look at Pei Yun for confirmation. Pei Yun rubbed the long hair at the back of her head. She had always been very patient with the older generation. She won't either. Look, also wants to go out with me. Old Madame Hua was very arrogant and disdainful. If she doesn't want to go out with me, what's the point of going out with a man like you? Washidu, Auntie Miao's eyelids twitched. Usually, old Madame Hua was very smart and knew not to let anyone steal Miss Pei away. Why was it that Miss Pei had finally finished her college entrance examination and could finally spend some time with Mr. Hua? Why was she so muddle-headed? Old Madam, why don't you let Miss Pei go out with you after some time? Auntie Miao also quickly said. No. I'm going to take her shopping and watch a concert today. I've already prepared the tickets. Old Madame Hua insisted. Pei Yun slowly rubbed the skin under her eyes with her fingertips. Okay, then when are we going out? Old Madame Hua was overjoyed when she heard that. Look, Gur is much more filial than you. Washidu, Pei Yun went upstairs to change her clothes. When she walked down, she found that Washidu was the only one in the living room. Brother, aren't you going to work overtime at the company? Pei Yun asked casually. The man grunted indifferently. At this moment, Pei Yun suddenly realized. Could it be that Washidu wasn't going to work and planned to accompany her? Pei Yun, not long after. Pei Yun sat on the edge of the sofa and propped one hand in front of him. She smiled and asked in the man's ear, Then brother, are you going to pick me and Grandma up for dinner tonight? Washidu could tell that the little girl was trying to coax him. He reached out lazily and pinched her chin. He suppressed the waves in his eyes and whispered in her ear in a low voice. His voice was slightly hoarse and very seductive. Don't coax her later. She'll take you to the old mansion again. His child was good at everything except for the unreasonable behavior of the older generation. This was the first time Pei Yun had seen Washidu being defeated. She suppressed the smile on her face and said, Okay. Washidu looked at the girl in front of him. The faint fragrance on her body made his imagination run wild. He couldn't help but brush her lips with his fingertips, caressing them suggestively. Pei Yun paused and heard him whisper in her ear, Don't coax others. Coax me more. In the car. I say Shidu is getting more and more petty. Didn't I just ask you to accompany me out to play? Why didn't you come out to send me off? Old Madame Hua muttered. She turned her head and leaned over to ask, why don't you stay at the old mansion with me after the concert? Tseng Su, who was driving, was speechless. Did old Madame not understand that if this went on, her family would be in danger? Chapter 1193. Although the Su family was indebted to the Hua family and the Hua family would not do anything to the Su family, the new mistress of the Su family understood the situation very well. Tseng Su had asked someone to send Madame Su the information of the unmarried young masters. Madame Su had already guessed what she should do. On the way to the company, Washidu received a call. It was from Wuxia. I didn't ask yesterday, but I want to ask you today. Master Du, what do you mean? You called me junior brother again? Wuxia sounded displeased. Washidu asked, What? The night before yesterday I was also at the bar and saw you Jilin and Bei Yun chatting. This is my junior brother when I was studying. I didn't even know that he had come to Yunqing recently. After Wuxia finished speaking, Washidu completely understood. Yu Jilin should be the psychiatrist that the Computing Institute had found for Bei Yun. Can he be treated in a bar? The man seemed to be talking to himself. His voice was very soft. However, Luoxia heard him clearly and answered his doubts. He might want to find a relaxing place for the patient to let down his guard. Besides, it's not like a bar is impossible. There are all kinds of people and it's very easy to see a person's social adaptability. Hearing this, Huashidu curled his lips. Alright, I got it. Luoxia, ? Was he not going to give him an explanation? If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first, the man said slowly. Luoxia immediately said, You're not going to give me an explanation? Between you and him, which professional ability is stronger? Huashidu raised his eyebrows and asked again. Of course it's me. I'm in the medical world, okay? Let me tell you. Before Luoxia could start bragging, Huashidu hung up. The holidays passed very quickly. Bei Yunji's graduation banquet was set for a week before school started. During this period of time, Bei Yunji went to Lin Longyuan's place and the Qin family very frequently. However, on this day, as soon as Bei Yunji walked in, she heard the sound of porcelain shattering inside. Old Master Qin liked to collect antiques. Even the vases in the living room were worth millions. Bei Yunji's eyelids twitched. She didn't know who had made the old man angry. As soon as she walked in, Bei Yunji saw the handprint on Mrs. Qin's face. Her eyes were filled with tears. Mr. Qin couldn't help but scold him softly. Dad, how could you hitting her? Scram. Get the hell away from me, you bastards. Bei Yunji heard old Master Qin's angry roar from outside. Tong Yuan, let me tell you, if you have any conscience, you should compensate Ger well. Instead of spoiling a stranger who is not related to you by blood like a blind person. Old man Qin pointed at her angrily. Let me tell you, if you dare to say another word of nonsense, I will pull out your tongue. This was the first time Mrs. Qin had been slapped by her father-in-law. The men of the Qin family never hit women, but this time, it was obvious that they had crossed Old Man Qin's bottom line. Old Master Qin was so angry that his vision turned black. He turned around and fainted. At this moment, Bei Yunji reacted quickly and ran over to support her. Grandfather? Bei Yunji's clear and melodious voice had a hint of nervousness that she didn't notice. Dad? Mr. Qin also became nervous. Uncle Lu, get the doctor here quickly. After Bei Yunji finished speaking, the butler hurriedly called the private doctor and helped her to the main seat. Bei Yunji's eyes flashed with anger. She glanced at them and said coldly, What did you say just now? A hint of awkwardness and guilt flashed across Mr. Qin's face. End of chapter. Chapter 1194. I'm fine. Old Master Qin's weak voice trailed from behind, interrupting Bei Yunji's question. It was obvious that Old Master Qin did not want Bei Yunji to know. However, Mrs. Qin's expression was slightly distorted and she could not help but laugh coldly. What did you say? You don't know what you've done? The atmosphere froze. However, Bei Yunji suddenly licked her lips and chuckled, saying slowly, That's too much. Mrs. Qin's face turned green. After that, she gritted her teeth and laughed coldly, unable to suppress her anger. Isn't it because of you? I booked a hotel for more than a month, but no one dared to rent it to me. She did not want Qin Youjiao to lose her reputation, but she did not expect this to happen. And other than that person from the Hua family, who else had the ability to do this? Bei Yunji, is it that comfortable to set someone up behind their backs? I really didn't expect you to seduce a man at such a young age. Mother Qin's words were full of sarcasm. Bei Yunji could roughly guess that Huashidu might have done it. Although she was a little surprised, it seemed to be Huashidu's character. Qin Ting, aren't you going to scram with your wife? Old Master Qin's expression was already dark as he held his chest and pointed at them. You want to cut ties with the Qin family, right? Cut it off now and don't come back in this lifetime. Grandpa, don't be angry first. Bei Yunji moved her eyebrows and rubbed Old Master Qin's temples. After the private doctor arrived and brought him to check, she slowly looked at Mrs. Qin. Why are you looking for Grandpa? Bei Yunji asked. Mrs. Qin narrowed her eyes. They were clearly biological mother and daughter, but they seemed to be the most hated enemy. I want you to cut ties with the Hua family. At this moment, Mrs. Qin raised her chin. I'm your mother after all. I can't ignore you. Qin Youjiao had told Mrs. Qin this method. If she asked Bei Yunji to plead with Huashidu, Bei Yunji might not do it. However, Old Master Qin cared about his reputation. He wouldn't let his granddaughter have an ambiguous relationship with a man. Bei Yunji rarely encountered such an annoying situation. She sneered, What's wrong? Are you short of people to burn paper money for you? She was indirectly mocking Mrs. Qin for not having a good ending after her death. Since old master wasn't around, she couldn't even be bothered to brush him off. Mr. Qin's face darkened, as if blaming her for speaking to her mother in such a manner. Mrs. Qin was furious. She rushed forward and raised her hand, wanting to slap Bai Yunj. However, Bai Yunj suddenly grabbed Mother Qin's wrist and looked at her impatiently as if she was a dead person. You. For the first time, Mother Qin was afraid of the person in front of her. She could feel the hostility in Bai Yunj's eyes. Bai Yunj shook him off. Mrs. Qin fell to the ground in a sorry state. Bai Yunj. Seeing this, Mr. Qin immediately helped Mrs. Qin up nervously and questioned Bai Yunj angrily. Don't you think that you're very uneducated by doing this? Nothing? Uneducated? Bai Yunj asked slowly in a good mood. However, Mr. Qin choked. It was only when a round of applause suddenly sounded outside that Mr. Qin regained his senses and saw Qin Lian walking in. His handsome face was calm, but his dark eyes were so dark that it made people tremble in fear. He walked in and stopped in front of Bai Yunj. What? Is father planning to say that Ge is uneducated? Qin Lian's voice was calm, but it was filled with cold ridicule. Chapter 1195. If she's really ill-mannered, who do you think is to blame for this? Qin Lian's tone was cold. Even Mr. Qin had always been afraid of his eldest son. Qin Lian had always had a weak sense of kinship and treated everyone the same. However, he did not know when he started to care about Bai Yunj. Lian, I was just angry. Ge pushed her mother just now. Mr. Qin muttered. Where did Ge's mother come from? Didn't they break off their relationship long ago? Qin Lian's calm words made Mrs. Qin and Mr. Qin's faces turn red. Lian, I just wanted to seek justice for Jiao. It was Bai Yunj who caused trouble behind our backs. Mrs. Qin's eyes were red. She did not understand why no one would listen to her when they were all her children. However, she did not dare to speak harshly to Qin Lian. Didn't I tell you clearly? The man took off his gold-rimmed glasses, losing some of his gentleness and elegance. His ink-like eyes were filled with a dangerous aura that was usually hidden. As long as you let Ge down for Qin Youjiao once, I will make sure that Qin Youjiao can't live anymore. Mrs. Qin's eyes were filled with panic. Lian, I didn't think it through. Don't do this. Everyone present could not understand Qin Lian's temper, but they knew that Qin Lian would do what he said and his methods were ruthless. Brother, Grandpa is seeing a doctor on the second floor. Bai Yunj suddenly said. Hearing this, a trace of gentleness appeared in Qin Lian's eyes. Okay, Ge, go upstairs first. I'll go upstairs to see Grandpa soon. The new secretary beside him had also noticed. President Qin really doted on Bai Yunj a lot. Bai Yunj hummed calmly and turned to go upstairs. However, when Qin Lian's eyes swept past Mrs. Qin and Mr. Qin again, there was no warmth. He twirled the thin silver ring between his fingers, making his fingers look as slender as jade, as if they were a pleasing work of art. His tone was still calm. Dad, Mom. Since you don't listen to me, I can only let Qin Youjiao know what will happen to her if she uses you as a cover to hurt Ge. With that said, Mrs. Qin's face paled. Mr. Qin immediately shouted, Lian, what do you want? I just want Qin Youjiao to know that she's not worthy of being compared to Ge. The man said unhurriedly and walked upstairs. This scene made the new secretary tremble with fear. Was boss threatening his biological parents for the sake of Miss? In a trance. When the new secretary heard Qin Lian and Bai Yunj talking, her voice was soft and unbelievable. I really like this ring. Thank you. It happened to be Qin Lian's birthday some time ago, so Bai Yunj also gave him a gift. You're welcome. Bai Yunj nodded. Although the atmosphere was silent and awkward, Qin Lian did not feel it at all. He smiled and looked at Bai Yunj beside him. The secretary, it was too surprising. The boss was actually a siscon. No wonder Qin Lian had been wearing this ring all this while. It turned out that eldest Miss had given it to him. After diagnosing old Master Qin, the doctor heaved a sigh of relief and confirmed that old Master Qin was fine. However, he also warned Bai Yunj and the rest that old Master Qin was old and could not get angry easily. A trace of irritation flashed past Bai Yunj's eyes and she thanked the doctor, saying that there wouldn't be a next time. If there was a next time, she would definitely throw Tong Yueying out personally. Within a few days, Cheng Zihuai also went to the Qin Corporation with a dark expression. Because not only was Qin Youjiao unable to rent a hotel venue, She had also been ordered to withdraw from the International Musicians Association. End of chapter. Chapter 1196. Is there a need? Cheng Zihuai's expression was extremely dark. Young Master Cheng's temper is a little bad now. The man was wearing gold-rimmed glasses and said calmly, Qin Luyin, in order to please Bei Yunj, are you so heartless that you want to destroy Youjiao? Cheng Zihuai questioned. Isn't it only right for a brother to coax his sister? The man's unhurried words made Cheng Zihuai even angrier. When Qin Youjiao was in the Qin family, he had not doted on Qin Youjiao so much. The Qin family really only recognizes blood ties and no feelings. Cheng Zihuai gritted his teeth, although he had long disliked Qin Luyin. Even a dog would have more feelings than President Qin, right? Qin Luyin snorted. Young Master Cheng is quite good at praising himself. Cheng Zihuai was so angry that he almost lost his rationality. He was really Bei Yunj's biological brother. His words were so infuriating. In the end, Cheng Zihuai left with a dark expression. He could feel the hatred of this young master of the Cheng family from 10 meters away. Over the past few days, the atmosphere in the computing institute had been oppressive. The reason was that Bei Yunj's improved big data technology was very beneficial to the arrest work. Researchers from several countries had a meeting and suggested to push the truth, but it was rejected by Bei Yunj. The reason was that this technology was not only beneficial to the country's arrest work, but also beneficial to illegal elements to obtain some data that was not made public. For example, for so many years, many countries had insisted on protecting the genetic data of their people. Once it was controlled by the enemy, it might lead to the extinction of the entire nation. It was also because of this that Bei Yunj was impatient with this meeting and was very grumpy. As a result, the other researchers were still unable to calm down from Bei Yunj's scolding. Halfway through the meeting, Bei Yunj asked from the bottom of his heart, "Do you have brains?" This was the first time a group of scientific research elites, who had been called geniuses since they were young, were despised for their intelligence. They almost wanted to fight with Bei Yunj. In the end, when the meeting ended, Bei Yunj also warned everyone. If anyone touched this technology, they would have to bear the consequences. In the office, hearing Bei Yunj insult all the big shots, Si Qingyan was shocked. "Yunj, aren't you going overboard?" Bei Yunj paused. "I'm not scolding them. I'm just asking." Si Qingyan was speechless. "What do you mean by the consequences? Threatening them?" Si Qingyan could not help but ask. Bei Yunj said, "A simple lunatic would blow up the most famous building and cause panic. But a lunatic with a bit of brain can overturn a country or even the world." Si Qingyan was stunned. Do you remember a certain virus research institute in K country that accidentally infected wild monkeys with a virus in the jungle? When Si Qingyan heard that, he recalled the extremely serious infectious disease and felt his hair stand on end. Bei Yunj glanced at him indifferently. "The virus can affect the human body. If we use this technology to obtain genetic samples and synthesize biochemical weapons, we can target different species and exterminate them." Si Qingyan's scalp went numb. No wonder Bei Yunj was so determined. Si Qingyan could not help but ask, "Then why do they want to implement it so much?" Zhong Xinglin walked over and interrupted, "Because Gur's breakthrough is more convenient for them to do scientific research. The world is bustling with activity and everyone comes and goes for benefits. Besides, they always felt that they had the confidence to control this technology well. They did not take those highly intelligent terrorists seriously." End of chapter. Chapter 1197. Not all of these people were convinced by Bei Yunj. They felt that Bei Yunj was indeed a little talented at such a young age, but she was still too shallow to see problems and did not know how to seize the benefits. "I've reported this to the higher-ups," Zhong Xinglin said with a smile. Bei Yunj looked at him. "Don't worry. The higher-ups have already agreed to prohibit the disclosure of this technology. They will also explain the situation to the people in charge of other countries. You just have to continue your research." Zhong Xinglin patted Bei Yunj's shoulder. Bei Yunj hummed calmly and asked, "Then what about the next meeting? What should they do?" "You can go and have fun next. My friend happened to give you a few tickets to the art exhibition. Bring a few friends to take a look." Zhong Xinglin immediately stuffed Bei Yunj with a few tickets to the art exhibition. Bei Yunj was speechless. After Bei Yunj was forced to leave, Si Qingyan could not help but say, "What about me? I want to rest during the weekend." "Rest my ass. Zhong Xinglin rolled his eyes. Si Qingyan said, I'm not even worthy of a holiday? Then why can Bei Yunj rest? If we let her attend a few more meetings, our computing institute will really become an orphan in the industry. Zhong Xinglin's eyelids twitched. Si Qingyan was speechless. Bei Yunj looked at the tickets in her hand and thought for a moment before taking a photo and sending it to the group. Bei Yunj, picture? Lu Yuanxi, Master Pei, will typing a few more words affect the country's fate? Bei Yunj, 1, Song Yao, 1, Chu Zhixing, 1, Lu Yuanxi was speechless. 2 Bei Yunj isms. The tickets to the art exhibition that Zhong Xinglin had given her were difficult to get in the outside world, but Bei Yunj still had an extra ticket in her pocket. What's this drawing? I don't understand. Lu Yuanxi made a judgment. Bei Yunj glanced at him sideways. If you don't understand, why did you apply for construction? Lu Yuanxi, Song Yao and Chu Zhixing did not have much appreciation, but they did not speak easily. It was only when she walked in front of a picture that Song Yao said softly to Bei Yunj, the author of this painting seems to be very famous. Previously, he was banned from the art exhibition because of his inappropriate speech and connotations. He didn't expect that the most famous one had been preserved. I heard that many people are calling for politics to stay away from art. Do you know about this? Lu Yuanxi snorted. Do you expect a caveman like her to observe the public opinion of the netizens? Bei Yunj glanced at him. But now, who has so much free time to do art? Lu Yuanxi began to speak brainlessly again. Although he didn't have any ill intentions, his words were indeed saying that only those with low scores would study art. As a result, the expression of the girl beside him turned ugly and her eyes dimmed. Bei Yunj happened to catch a glimpse of the light blue powder under the girl's fingernails from the corner of her eye. She retracted her gaze and looked at the painting for a while. She said slowly, art doesn't serve the country. It serves human society. But any art that divides the country is essentially a drag on the social development of the nation. When ordinary people appreciate art, apart from the skills of the author, they can also see their meaning, class, desire, struggle, darkness, and symbiosis. Bei Yunj explained according to the row of paintings on the corridor. Artists can be romantic sociologists or lunatics who burn themselves and try to light up the corners of the world. She walked in front of one of the paintings and said leisurely, for example, this dream is quite interesting. If the theme didn't mention it, you would have a different association. If you have to use something to explain it, the naked eye and mortals have long attained Bodhi. If it's concrete, it's this. Lu Yuanxi asked with difficulty. What do you mean? Bei Yunj said, all forms are illusory. If you see all forms, you will see Tathagata. Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but ask. Can you speak human language? Bei Yunj glanced at him slowly. In human language, change your profession as soon as possible. Architecture is also one of the 8 major arts. If you want to study art, you will only be beaten up. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Damn. What kind of evil creature is this? It's fine if she's crazy about science, but she doesn't even leave a way out for the arts? The girl next to him almost laughed out loud. Her eyes lit up and she pursed her pink lips as she glanced at Bei Yunj shyly. However, no one noticed that someone was staring at Bei Yunj from behind. That girl said it very well. The bearded old man next to him laughed. Very smart. This is the first time I've heard someone use Buddhist scriptures to interpret my paintings. Liao Zhu couldn't help but smile. This is only for amateurs. If she were a professional, those little rascals in the association would know the pressure. If you like her, won't she be a professional after teaching for a few months? The bearded old man joked. When Liao Zhu heard this, he became more determined. He walked in front of Bei Yunj. Young lady, are you attending university this year? Bei Yunj looked at the person who suddenly appeared and was silent. Yes. Liao Zhu didn't mind Bei Yunj's coldness. Instead, he smiled amiably. Sophomore? Where are you studying? Freshman, Yun University. Bei Yunj looked at him. What's the matter? Actually, I wanted to ask you if you want to study art? I can teach you. When Liao Zhu heard the words Yun University, he was stunned. He added, I don't need any payment. Lu Yuanxi and the rest were a little suspicious. Was this person a scammer? But the girl next to them widened her eyes. Wasn't this the president of the art association, Liao Zhu? Sorry, I'm not interested. Bei Yunj's words surprised Liao Zhu, but he didn't give up. He gave Bei Yunj a business card. If you want, you can look for me anytime. Also, young lady, is it convenient for your parents to meet me again and have a chat? Bei Yunj was silent for a moment. How about this? If you're free you can come to my graduation banquet. When Liao Zhu heard this he was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. He asked for his contact details and left. Bei Yunj didn't look at Liao Zhu's business card and casually stuffed it into her pocket. Deskmate is good. You just go out and there are people who want to take you as a student. Lu Yuanxi sighed. If knowledge can be stored in your brain you can too. Bei Yunj said. Lu Yuanxi. Bei Yunj picked up her phone and saw the message in the group. It was the people from CI7 who were at ING her. Xian Yuan. I'm going to Yunqing with Pang Hu and the rest in a few days. Do you want to meet up? Max. Bei Yunj thought for a while and replied. Max, sure. Pang Hu, big brother, are you treating us to a meal? Max, sure. How about the graduation banquet? Pang Hu, your child got into university? Max, I got into university. Pang Hu? Xian Yuan? Hibernating bear? This sentence set off a storm in the hearts of the core members of CI7. They even suspected that Max's account was hacked? That wasn't right. Was there anyone in CI7 who was better at computers than her? Chapter 1198. After the chat. Pang Hu and the others were chatting privately. Hibernating bear, I didn't expect Max to know how to sneer. Pang Hu, that's right. I almost believed him. What should I do? What should I give Max's child? Xian Yuan's eyelids twitched. He didn't want to talk to these two nagging men anymore. Xian Yuan, when you see Max just shut your mouths. Although they were warned by Xian Yuan, Pang Hu and Hibernating Bear also began to remember the ridiculous rumor that Max had just entered CI7. When Max had just entered CI7 he was in debt of billions. They didn't know if he had paid it back. Why not just give Max some money? For some reason the big shots of CI7 firmly believed that Bei Yunj was working in debt. The promotion banquet was handed over to Old Master Qin this time. Seeing that Old Master Qin had not recovered from his illness and still insisted on handling it personally, Bei Yunj couldn't refuse. For the promotion banquet the day after tomorrow, Old Master Qin only invited some of his old friends. However, Bei Yunj's friends all sent invitations, including all the students and teachers of Class 7. What group? Wuxia was playing a game on his phone expressionlessly because he heard that his junior brother, Yu Jilin, had been chosen and had become Max's private doctor. As for him, a legend in the medical world, he had actually been brushed off. The more Wuxia played, the more frustrated he became. Just as he threw his phone aside, he suddenly saw a message from Yu Jilin. You go, brother, I have a banquet the day after tomorrow. Are you going? Wuxia replied expressionlessly. Get lost. You go. Are you really not going? You will regret it. Wuxia sneered when he saw Yu Jilin say this. What he regretted the most was letting Yu Jilin know that he was interviewing for Max's private doctor. Wuxia simply blacklisted him. What's so great about being Max's private doctor? Why can Yu Jilin do it but I can't? If Wuxia hadn't cared about Huashidu, he would have cursed. He couldn't help but feel aggrieved. Does he hate me? That's impossible. Zhou Yu, the more Wuxia thought about it, the more sour he felt. I don't know how many times Yu Jilin has seen him. Maybe he will be invited to his party. Huashidu lifted his thin eyelids. Shut up. Wuxia, were they still friends? Seeing Wuxia's angry eyes, the man didn't feel guilty at all. Instead, he slowly said, will you go to the graduation banquet with me the day after tomorrow? Wuxia, the day after tomorrow again. Wuxia forced a smile. It wasn't hard to tell how much he disliked Bei Yunj. Forget it. I couldn't think straight just now and rejected Yu Jilin's invitation. If he happens to be attending a banquet, and I'm reduced to attending a child's graduation banquet, this will become an indelible shadow in my life. When Zhou Yu heard this, he couldn't help but close his eyes. Why would someone attack their own idol every day? He really wanted to shake Wuxia awake. If he continued to blabber like this, not only would he not be able to be her personal doctor, he might even be beaten up. Up to you. Huashidu glanced at him casually and didn't say anything else. Wuxia, who was immersed in grief, didn't know how exciting and suffocating the night after tomorrow would be for him. The day before the graduation banquet, Bei Yunj was still studying the book, J.H. From Laboratory 191. Huashidu stood behind her for more than half an hour, but she didn't notice him. P.S. I just sorted out the outline. I'll update it after sleeping for a while. Chapter 1199. Suddenly, Bei Yunji's phone rang and she answered without looking up. What's wrong? It was Song Yao's voice from the other end. What color gown are you wearing tomorrow? Bei Yunji licked her lips and narrowed her beautiful eyes. Soon she recalled. The grayish-blue one. That custom-made gown with grayish-blue tassels was specially flown over by the old master. It was a seasonal gown. Okay. Song Yao had also seen that gown and was quite satisfied with Bei Yunji's choice. Miss Song, did you call in the middle of the night to tell me about this? Bei Yunji asked with a faint smile as she twirled the pencil in her hand. Song Yao probed. Then what do you and your brother plan to do now? But, Bei Yunji exclaimed and suddenly leaned back. The corners of her lips curled up lazily and she started to talk fearlessly. Plan? I plan to get married this year and have 2 children next year. After I graduate from university, I'll get the children at home to buy me a cake and put up candles for Mother's Day. Song Yao was speechless. Why would she call Bei Yunji when she had nothing better to do? However, Bei Yunji was also addicted to teasing Song Yao. She looked up at the ceiling playfully, her gaze gradually moving back and her mouth becoming louder. Auntie little Song, don't be anxious. If you really don't have a partner, I'll give you a little. Before she could finish speaking, suddenly she saw the man holding a teacup and wearing a black t-shirt looking at her calmly. Bei Yunji was speechless. When did this person run behind her? Aren't you going to finish your conversation first? The man raised his eyebrows, his tone casual and lazy. On the other end of the line, Song Yao also heard Huashidu's voice, but her heart did not ache for Bei Yunji. It was best if someone could teach this young master a lesson. Bei Yunji was silent for a moment before she straightened her back. Well, Tian, see you tomorrow? On the other end, Song Yao could not help but smile. Okay, good night. The call was hung up and the atmosphere was strange. When did you come in? Bei Yunji asked subconsciously. Before you call me. Without waiting for Bei Yunji to complain, Huashidu said slowly, I wanted to remind her, but I was afraid that I would disturb our union studies. Bei Yunji, the car flipped again. Huashidu licked his thin red lips and chuckled. However, I'm also quite curious who Yunyun wants to hug next year. The man's pair of seductive peach blossom eyes could not hide his smile, and there was also a hint of teasing. The light condensed in the depths of his pale pupils, and one look was so ambiguous that it made people blush and their hearts beat faster. Then Bei Yunji heard him say, this idea is quite torturous. Bei Yunji, her words were a momentary pleasure, but she ended up in the crematorium. Seeing that Bei Yunji's neck was slightly red, Huashidu stopped teasing her. He smiled silently and reached out to scratch her chin. I've heated up some milk for you downstairs. Drink it before you sleep. Bei Yunji stood up abruptly and ran out. The man looked at Bei Yunji's back and raised his eyebrows lazily, the smile on his lips faintly discernible. She hid quite quickly. The next day, Song Yao had just entered the lounge on the 2nd floor when she saw a person in a grayish-blue dress leaning lazily against the sofa. Her black hair was scattered, her skin was fair like jade, and her eyes were filled with charm. It was a simple and elegant gown, but on her, it looked lazy, sexy, and classy. Chapter 1200. Your waist isn't good? Why are you lying down? Song Yao could not help but smile. It was obvious that he remembered yesterday's accident. Bei Yunji was speechless. After what happened last night, Bei Yunji was slightly silent this morning, but the man's expression was the same as usual. However, when they were sitting in the back of the car, she suddenly heard the man ask, have you thought about who you want to be the father of your child? Nonsense. Huashidu. However, the D*MN man that Bei Yunji was scolding in her heart was talking to old Master Qin downstairs. Bei Yunji leaned her chin against the railing on the 2nd floor with Song Yao. She saw that the man was wearing a neatly ironed black suit. His shirt buttons were not as loose as usual, but were buttoned to the top. Bei Yunji thought. It seemed like every time he was in front of old Master Qin, Huashidu's shirt buttons would be buttoned properly. When he spoke to old Master Qin, his tone was always gentle and patient. There was no sense of distance. However, as long as old Master Qin walked far away, although the man looked refined and dignified, his expression was indifferent and light. There was a sense of alienation that kept people thousands of miles away. Suddenly, Song Yao smiled. That's great. What? Bei Yunji asked. When I liked Fu Yanbai in the past, I overestimated myself and always treated a man's charity as something special. But later I found out that because we are destined to have an unequal relationship, as long as he treats me normally, I will think that he treats me well. Song Yao's eyes were curved, but her voice was as gentle and smiling as ever. But Hoshidu was different. He was so good to Bei Yunj that anyone with a discerning eye would be envious of. It was as long as you look at me with a little love in your eyes, I will walk over and hug you openly. With such a man liking Bei Yunj, Song Yao was not afraid that Bei Yunj would follow in her footsteps. Bei Yunj looked at Song Yao for a while. She reached out to stroke the hair on her neck and said slowly, "Tianan, don't be afraid. As long as I'm around, there won't be a second Fu Yanbai by your side." Song Yao did not want to waste her energy to like anyone else. Now she only hoped that her parents would be healthy and happy. Bei Yunj would succeed in everything. In the evening, there were many guests downstairs. After some of old man Qin's old friends finished exchanging greetings, they glanced over and saw several old men with smiles on their faces. Although they weren't dressed extravagantly, they looked strangely familiar. Those people look familiar. Someone could not help but murmur, "Do I look familiar?" But from what I see, he looks very ordinary. I thought he had snuck in. As soon as he said this, a certain CEO was pushed hard by his friend. "What's wrong with you?" That was by Mingzhang, an academician of the Academy of Sciences and the former president of Yun University. "You don't even like her?" As soon as he said that, everyone looked at Bai Mingzhang. Bai Mingzhang's friends were dressed in the same style as Bai Mingzhang, and they looked very familiar with each other. "Oh, Bai? Then the people around him can't all be." The person who spoke felt his legs go soft. This was a scientific research big shot that could only be seen on TV. Zhong Xinglin, Zhou Moping, Yu Guang, Si Qingyan, and the current principal of Yun University. I don't know the rest. However, when these names were read out, it was already enough to make people suck in a breath of cold air. Did half of the scientific research community come to celebrate eldest Miss Qin's graduation? Wasn't this too extravagant? A VIP of this level was not someone who could be invited by money and power. Chapter 1201. These people who stood at the top of the scientific research field did not care if you were rich or not. Otherwise, with the standards of people like Bai Mingzhang and Zhou Moping, selling a few patents would make people look up to them for the rest of their lives. What's going on? Old Master Qin can even invite these people? The others could not help but be shocked. After the people at the side came back to their senses, they stared at the two figures and hesitated. In the end, they did not say a word. Old Master Leng and Old Master Chu were actually here. The boss who had seen Old Master Chu and Old Master Leng by chance felt his scalp tingle. The scariest thing was that the Qin family could invite these two people. People like Old Master Leng and Old Master Chu would not easily attend banquets and did not like to have anything to do with people in the industry. It was said that even at Old Master Chu's nephew's coming-of-age ceremony, Old Master Chu only bowed and did not attend because there were too many people who wanted to see him. But today Old Master Chu actually came to the Qin family personally. Looking at Old Master Chu's jubilant expression, those who did not know would think that the main character of today's banquet was Old Master Chu's biological granddaughter. But not long after. Suddenly, 3 men from another race walked into the hall. The man in the lead had blonde hair and blue eyes. He was handsome and was about 30 years old. He had a literary temperament, but his simple work clothes did not match the elegant and noble style of the hall. The brown-skinned man behind him had a scar on his jaw and a nail ring on his nose. He did not look like someone to be trifled with. The others were discussing and wished they could retreat 10 meters away. Who were these 3 people? Yunyun's friends? Suddenly they heard a cold voice that sounded neither fast nor slow. Shen Yuan looked up and met the eyes of a handsome and noble man. However, for some reason he subconsciously avoided the man's gaze that seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. He had a feeling that this man gave him a dangerous and oppressive feeling. It should be. This was the first time in so many years that Shen Yuan was suppressed by someone's aura. Then let's wait. She'll be down soon. The man's behavior was gentle and polite. He was not warm, but he did not make the 3 of them feel awkward. It was as if he was born to be a vanity hunter. Soon the people upstairs finally came down. Shen Yuan and the others heard a commotion and subconsciously looked up. It was a girl wearing a grayish-blue tasseled dress. Her long black curly hair was loose, revealing half of her fair neck and exquisite collarbone. Her pair of beautiful phoenix eyes were playful, but they were also bright and charming. "You are..." Shen Yuan and Bei Yunj looked at each other for a moment and asked hesitantly in a low voice, "Max's child?" Bei Yunji, her eyelids twitched and she glanced at the big bamboo baskets on hibernating Bear and Pang Hu's back. What are they doing? Did you bring back bamboo shoots? Hearing this familiar cold and aloof tone, Xian Yuan and the others froze. They suddenly had a very unbelievable thought. Is this Max? That's not right. How could Max look so young? They had always thought that Max should be a gloomy, solitary, and sickly white scientific research genius. How could she be so beautiful in person? Bei Yunji was also quite silent. She did not know how to face these three people who might give her a few baskets of bamboo shoots. It's really you, boss? Pang Hu was the first to become excited because of the meeting, and it also affected the other two. Brothers, come. Let's find a room and have a good chat. The three of them hugged 3 baskets of unknown things and said sneakily. Chapter 1202. Let me make it clear first. I don't really like bamboo shoots. Next time you can dig up some sweet potatoes, Bei Yunji suddenly said. Xian Yuan, what was wrong with this person? Was she looking down on the economic strength of CI7 too much? Who would come to visit with sweet potatoes and bamboo shoots? My friend, trust me, no one can resist its temptation. Pang Hu revealed a strange and wretched smile. Bei Yunji was even more silent when she heard this. After a while she said, Pang Hu, let me tell you, it's illegal to gather people for obscenity here. If you take out a basket of random tapes, I'll call the police immediately. Pang Hu, in the end. Bei Yunji looked at them suspiciously and went to the second floor with them. On the other hand, the others felt that the young Miss Friends were too strange. One look and they could tell that they were not decent people. In the lounge. When the three of them opened the bamboo basket, what was unexpected was that it was filled with bits and pieces of diamonds, gemstones, gold, jade, and the like. Bei Yunji picked up a heavy tophyte. As a rare gemstone, tophytes were worth 35,000 yuan in our nation's currency per carat. She threw it to the side. This action made Xian Yuan and the others' eyelids twitch. Then Bei Yunji caught a glimpse of a few raw violet diamonds. They were the size of a pigeon's egg, but they were already bigger than the largest violet diamond on the market. Before Bei Yunji could do anything, Pang Hu immediately went up and held these violet diamonds. Be gentle. The annual production of violet diamonds is less than 12 carats, and the largest on the market is only 83 carats. However, the violet diamonds they gave were already 5 carats in size. Not only that, there were only 3 or 4 violet diamonds that were larger than 1 carat on the market. And Bei Yunji had 4 5-carat violet diamonds the size of pigeon's egg. Where did this come from? Bei Yunji raised her eyebrows. Pang Hu immediately said, this was dug up legally and it's also from Amanal mines. If I didn't know that you owed tens of billions, I would have given you half of my fortune. Bei Yunji interrupted, what tens of billions? Pang Hu used the tone of an experienced person and said earnestly, don't be embarrassed, I'm doing this because we're kindred spirits. Young people who hasn't done some messy things. Bei Yunji suddenly laughed. She licked her lips and glanced at them. What nonsense have I done? But for some inexplicable reason he felt a lingering fear. Zhixiong hesitated. Didn't you get caught for robbing a bank and now you're tens of billions in debt? Didn't you join CI7 to pay off your debts? Bei Yunji? Xian Yuan? The director said so. Zhixiong felt Bei Yunji's cold gaze. Not long after. Xian Yuan also felt his hair stand on end. I didn't say anything. I knew you were in need of money. Maybe it's because of debt. Who knew that this group of people would gossip all day long and fill in the blanks like this? A few minutes. After Xian Yuan finished explaining, the atmosphere became awkward. Max, how big is your yard? Planting flowers is so expensive? How many do you have? Just a few hundred square meters. Xian Yuan and the rest still felt that it was normal, but the next moment they heard Bei Yunji continue, Juliet roses. Xian Yuan, Pang Hu and Zhixiong, was that the legendary million roses that they didn't even dare to touch? Even for people like them who didn't lack money, Juliet roses were famous for being squeamish. Those who could afford to buy them weren't big shots, those who could afford to raise them were the real big shots. Chapter 1203. They were actually pitying someone who raised hundreds of Juliet roses? She really felt that she was living too well. Pang Hu couldn't help but ask, Max, this flower is very difficult to raise, right? You're raising it in Yinqing? It's quite difficult to raise, but the manor's butler takes care of it. The flowers are raised in Neely. If you like them, you can go to Bacton to pick them, Bei Yunj replied after thinking for a while. Xian Yuan also fell silent. Bacton Manor? Bei Yunj replied, yes. For a moment, the atmosphere was dead silent. What kind of crazy big shot was this? Bacton Manor was actually Max's private manor? Soon Xian Yuan and the rest showed signs of rejection. I don't deserve it. I don't dare. That's Juliet Rose's. Who would dare to pick a few for no reason? Wouldn't that be ruining a real flower? Xian Yuan declined. Thank you. When I can buy a glass garden in Bacton Manor, I'll go pick them. Yes, that was a glass garden with encyclopedic information. Bei Yunj. The way Xian Yuan and the rest looked at Bei Yunj also changed. As expected of Max, he could even raise such a money-burning hobby. Bei Yunj. Her eyelids twitched. Alright, take the things back. I don't lack money. Bei Yunj wasn't interested in taking advantage of others, but she remembered that the three of them had donated more than half of their assets because they thought she was in debt. No, I've already taken them. Do I have to carry them back? Pang Hu was the first to object. Then he said, it's not good for a man like me to store so many diamonds. Just take these as a gift for my graduation. But until now they still felt like they were dreaming. Max was actually a prospective college student. Bei Yunj couldn't stand the three of them nagging and agreed to accept them. But from the corner of her eye she saw a document bag inside. What's this? Bei Yunj had just picked it up when she heard Jixiong's explanation. He was proud and arrogant. This is some information about the private jet I'm giving you. It doesn't matter if you don't have a pilot's license. Anyway, you can hire someone to drive it for you. Am I being very thoughtful? Bei Yunj. At this very moment, there were a few uninvited guests downstairs. The Qin family's eldest Mrs. graduation banquet is indeed a grand occasion. Everyone turned around and saw a few familiar faces of the foreign races. Beside the exquisitely dressed foreign girls, there was a beautiful girl in a white dress. That's Qin Yojiao. Why is she here? Some people were discussing in a low voice. This time, old Master Qin did not invite many people and no one expected to see Qin Yojiao here. The socialites around her seemed to be some famous socialites in the Neely circle. Do you know about the Neely 18 Beauties Association? Hearing this, someone immediately reacted. Qin Yojiao went that time too, right? Therefore, were these top socialites in the Neely circle friends of Qin Yojiao? Everyone present was smart. How could they not see that Qin Yojiao's motive for coming today was not simple? Was she trying to suppress him on the spot? After all, she heard that Qin Yojiao was pressured by the Qin family and refused to rent a better hotel to her. Why are you here? Old Master Qin's expression darkened. Seeing Qin Yojiao's posture, the taste of blood surged up his throat. Grandpa, you don't want me to come so much? Qin Yojiao maintained an appropriate smile and asked in return. At this moment, the socialite beside Qin Yojiao sneered. The Qin family's eldest miss is so thick-skinned. Aren't you going to come out and meet the guests? Chapter 1204. Many people present knew the first person to speak. It was Vera, the only daughter of the chairman of Banger Corporation. She was also a famous socialite in Neely. Master Du, I'll get someone to settle it. Zhou Yu frowned. He had just pressed his Bluetooth earpiece and was about to deal with these people when he was interrupted by Huashidu. No need. Huashidu's slow voice confused Zhou Yu. Huh? No need to deal with them? But wasn't Master Du always nervous about Miss Pei? How could he bear to let Miss Pei be bullied? At this moment, Huashidu looked at the person leaning lazily against the railing on the stage and turned to walk down. His upturned eyes were lazy and light as he replied slowly, they provoked Bei Yunj. Zhou Yu did not understand what he meant, but Zheng Su understood. Master Du wanted to use these people to establish Miss Pei's authority. There were so many people in the industry present. Master Du did not want people to think that Miss Pei had just entered a wealthy family like the Qin family and had hooked up with him in the blink of an eye. He wanted people to know that Miss Pei never needed to hide behind anyone. Zheng Su had just regained his senses when he heard the man say lightly, you can deal with those who need to be dealt with any time. Alright, he was still targeted by Master Du. Grandpa, what happened? Who made you so angry? Bei Yunj's voice trailed from upstairs slowly. Xian Yuan and the rest could probably see that someone seemed to be causing trouble downstairs and their eyes turned cold. Are these your friends? Seeing Bei Yunj, old Master Qin's voice became gentle as he held Bei Yunj's hand with a smile. Bei Yunj replied, I just met online friends. The rest of the people were speechless. There were still people meeting online friends these days? And they were overseas friends? Xian Yuan greeted Old Master Qin in Country A's language. Old Master Qin was not harsh on Bei Yunji's friends. Instead, he chatted with Xian Yuan in a fluent foreign language. This scene almost hurt Qin Youjiao's eyes. The jealousy and distortion in her eyes could not be suppressed and she could not help but laugh coldly. They were really filial. I heard that Miss Pei got into Yun University's physics department? It's really not bad. If you need it, why don't you come to Bangor's research team to give it a try? Vera casually held her champagne glass and smiled sarcastically. Our company recruits 100 researchers every year and eliminates them through screening and elimination. At the end of the day, they're all working for others. After saying this, Vera didn't know that Zhong Xinglin and the others had stopped eating and slowly turned to look at her. The atmosphere suddenly became oppressive. Really? So powerful? Bei Yunji's red lips curved as she followed her words. It's not that impressive, but it's still slightly better than some useless research companies in Country A. Vera shook her champagne glass confidently, trying to suppress Bei Yunji with every word she said. Miss Pei, you don't have to be nervous. On account of Youjiao, it's not difficult to let you enter Bangor. Miss, you're too polite. But I'm currently working with someone, so I can't enter your company. Bei Yunji glanced at her with interest and sneered. He walked to the long table and poured a glass of red wine. Vera seemed to have found an opportunity and immediately asked, Miss Pei, what company are you planning to enter? You actually don't like our Bangor? Could it be that you'd rather choose a third-rate company than accept my good intentions because of a fit of pique? Chapter 1205. Bei Yunji did not speak, but the corners of her lips curled up slightly. When the socialites saw this, they thought that Bei Yunji had been exposed by them. They were angry but did not dare to say anything. Yunji, Vera's father's company, is a top-notch research corporation. You don't have to reject him. Qin Youjiao chuckled from the side. Many people can't get this opportunity even if they beg for it. Those who didn't know better would think that Qin Youjiao was giving Bei Yunji charity. However, not far away, the expressions of Zhong Xinglin and the rest were extremely dark and their hearts were numb and cold. Sure, Bangor Corporation. She still looked down on them who did scientific research. So, you want to poach me? Bei Yunji raised an eyebrow. Her words made Vera's expression darken and she laughed in anger. This woman really dared to say it. Their company was poaching her? Where did she get the cheek to let their Bangor Corporation give her this honor? However, Vera still suppressed her anger and said with a fake smile in front of everyone, For Youjiao's sake, I can help you pay the penalty fee. As for the company you originally signed with, it's not a big deal. I'll give them more money and let them know when to stop. Vera's arrogant tone made Old Master Qin almost fly into a rage when she deliberately humiliated her in front of everyone. Who did she think she was to dare speak like this? Did the elder young miss of the Qin family need someone else to pay the penalty fee? However, just as Old Master Qin was about to scold her, a cold laugh suddenly trailed from outside. Bangor Corporation is so shameless. This is my first time seeing someone poach someone so confidently. Hearing the voice, Vera and the other socialites found it familiar and immediately turned to look. They never thought that the people walking over would be Tich and Jasmine. Why were they here? Vera's expression changed and she panicked inexplicably. Tich, I just think that Miss Pei doesn't need to stay in that kind of third-rate company and want to help her. At this moment, Vera still didn't know which company was the third-rate company she was so confident in. After all, she didn't believe that any top research corporation would cooperate with a prospective university student. Tich, when did your family become a third-rate company? Jasmine had an elegant smile on his lips, but there was no warmth in his eyes when he looked at them. Vera's smile froze for a moment. Wh what? Tich simply looked away and walked in front of Bei Yunji. Tich's eyes lit up as he looked at Bei Yunji. His tone was inexplicably respectful as he said, Miss Pei, this is the gift I prepared for you. My father still has something to do at the company, so he'll be half an hour late. He asked me to greet you first. Judging from Tich's tone, those who didn't know would think that he was meeting an elder. However, Tich was a famous young master in the Neely Circle. Who would dare to be his senior? Bei Yunji frowned. What is he doing here? Tich. His teacher still disliked his father as usual. Jasmine also panicked when he saw Bei Yunji's attitude. It was over. His father was also here today. He even said that he had to pull him over for a few drinks today. On the other hand, Bei Yunj felt that her student seemed to be a little restrained every time he saw her. She thought for a moment and decided to find a topic to ease the tension. She asked lightly, "Have you finished writing your research report?" "Tch, Jasmine, what kind of death question was this?" Chapter 1206. Tch said. "It might take another 2 to 3 days." Although they were already used to Bei Yunj's rhythm, this habit was numb and they could not keep up with Bei Yunj's level. However, this conversation seemed abnormally strange in the crowd. Who were Tch and Jasmine? Skipping grades in high school and university was like child's play. When they were studying at a top university like Neely University, they had already entered our nation's computing institute with first and second results. Who in the Neely circle had not been crazily infatuated with these two handsome and intelligent men? However, from the conversation just now, those who did not know would almost think that Bei Yunj was Tch and Jasmine's senior teacher. Vera's expression did not look too good either. Everyone in the Neely circle knew that she liked Tch and that the Delaney Corporation and Bang Corporation were interested in a marriage. Although Tch did not like her and had not even spoken to her much. "Tch, is Bei Yunj from your corporation's research team?" Vera bit her lip and could not help asking. However, when Tch and Jasmine heard Vera call Bei Yunj by her full name, they both looked up at her with a little coldness. Tch said expressionlessly, "No, Miss Pei has shares in our corporation and is one of the decision-makers of the corporation." With that said, Tch specially added, "It was Miss Pei's decision to work with Bang previously." The news of the Delaney Corporation was very tight and not many people knew that the chief decision-maker was Bei Yunj. They only knew that their big boss listened to that new boss very much. Instantly, Vera's face paled and Qin Yojiao's expression changed. Qin Yojiao looked up at Bei Yunj and stared fixedly at her. "What? How was that possible? She's the new decision-maker? What?" The crowd burst into an uproar. How many F***king people in the country could get in touch with the Delaney Corporation? However, the eldest young miss of the Qin family had actually become the decision-maker of the Delaney Corporation without batting an eyelid? Vera had never had such a guess. Although Bang had been asking around about who the new decision-maker of the Delaney Corporation was, he did not know if it was a man or a woman. But now, she actually saw it with her own eyes? She even swore to Bei Yunj that she would compensate her for the breach of contract and asked the Delaney group to stop while they were ahead? Grr, is this true? Old man Qin was starting to wonder if he was dreaming. Bei Yunj glanced at Tch and quickly said to old Qin, "I happen to know Delaney. I'm just doing him a favor." Everyone, what a guy. What kind of dog talk was this? However, I didn't expect that company to be Bangor. Bei Yunj's slow voice made Vera subconsciously raise her head and look into her eyes. She shuddered suddenly. Clearly, she only wanted to get closer to Elena, so she planned to help Qin Yojiao. After all, it was easy for her to deal with the eldest daughter of the Qin family, who couldn't even be considered a top family. However, she had never imagined that this was simply a matter of wading into muddy waters. And this Bei Yunj, who looked like she had nothing to do, was actually the one who ate people whole. Then when you chose Bangor? Tch wanted to say something but hesitated. Bei Yunj said slowly, "How would I know whose company is better? Delaney insisted on asking me. I saw that the person in charge of Bangor had the surname Song, so I voted for him." Everyone? Lu Yuanxi sighed. Sister Yao is really favored. Chu Zhixing, what terrible language skills. Chapter 1207. Tch didn't expect his teacher's reason to be so simple and straightforward. He thought that at least it was because Bonner had won his teacher's favor in advance. However, when he thought about it, his father had always been cautious about anything related to his teacher. No one else would have the chance to curry favor with him. When Vera heard Bei Yunj's words, her expression changed even more. Ever since she started working with Delaney this year, their company had been thriving, so Vera's status in the socialite circle had also risen. But now she had offended the person who had brought all this to her. Suddenly, everyone heard a sneer not far away. "Indeed, we can't match up to a big company like Bonner Group. I didn't expect that the Banger Group had never taken us seriously." Vera frowned subconsciously and looked at the person who spoke in disgust. However, when she saw who it was, her face turned pale. Zhong Xinglin? Why was Zhong Xinglin from the Computing Institute here? "Mr. Zhong, why are you here?" Vera's expression was ugly as she forced a smile. There was a reason why Vera knew Zhong Xinglin. Back then, Bonner had begged for 3 years before they got the chance to work with the Computing Institute. She didn't expect to meet Zhong Xinglin on this occasion. When Zhong Xinglin rejected her father's invitation, he had said that he didn't like to get involved in anyone's banquet. Why? Do I need your family's permission to work for your company and attend a junior's graduation banquet? Zhong Xinglin's tone was very bad, making Vera hesitate. I didn't. Unexpectedly, Zhong Xinglin interrupted coldly. In that case, the termination letter from the Computing Institute will be sent to your company's email tomorrow morning. Although I, Zhong Xinglin, have been doing research all my life, I don't lack companies that are begging to cooperate. Instantly, Vera's face turned pale. Her father had been begging for 3 years, but because of her words, it was completely ruined? No. If her father were to find out about this, he would definitely want to chase her out. Especially in the past 2 years, after entering the Computing Institute, the institute had always been in the limelight. Elder Zhong, I'm young and ignorant. Please don't take it to heart. I'll apologize to you, is that okay? Vera's eyes were red and she felt even more regretful. Why did she have to find trouble to help Qin Yojiao vent her anger today? This matter had nothing to do with her. Miss Vera, please respect yourself. We old fellows have heard your words clearly. After Zhong Xinglin finished speaking, Miss Vera realized that the people around Zhong Xinglin were all familiar faces in Country A's scientific research field. Even though she had always been proud of Country R's scientific research capabilities, she also knew that this group of people, even those ruthless figures in Country R's scientific research field, did not dare to offend them easily. Vera felt the gazes of these big shots and her legs went soft for a moment. How could this be? It was clearly just a banquet for the eldest daughter of the Qin family. Why were all these lofty scientific research bigwigs here? Vera was not the only one with a terrible expression. Qin Yojiao was the same. Her pupils constricted and her pretty face was a little distorted. She could not understand why this was happening. What had happened in the 2 years she had been away? Why did Bei Yunj know these people? Bei Yunj walked slowly towards Qin Yojiao and leaned forward slightly. Welcome, Miss Qin. However, Miss Qin, you should change into another gown. It's quite an eyesore. With that said, the red wine in Bei Yunj's hand spilled on her dress. Bei Yunj. End of chapter. Chapter 1208. Qin Yojiao's expression became even more ferocious. She did not expect Bei Yunj to be so arrogant. She actually made things difficult for her in front of so many people on purpose. Bei Yunj placed the wine glass on the table and did not feel guilty at all. Instead, she raised her eyebrows slowly, giving off an impudent and arrogant feeling. She splashed red wine all over Qin Yojiao for no other reason. It was because in Bei Yunj's dream, she had seen Qin Yojiao wearing this gown and being surrounded by the crowd. However, because of Qin Yojiao's words, the original owner was deliberately locked in the door by the servants and given leftovers. She did not want to see Qin Yojiao as an eyesore in this situation. Bei Yunj glanced sideways at Qin Yojiao, who was trembling in anger. She was about to walk around when she saw Qin Yojiao staring at someone. Qin Yojiao bit her lip. This was the first time she felt so humiliated. But when she looked around, no one wanted to help her. They were all looking at her with cold or sarcastic eyes. Qin Yojiao had just looked away when she saw the man with a carefree expression. The man was still the same as always. His expression was indifferent, as if no one and nothing could enter his eyes. A dark look flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes and she pursed her lips as she walked towards the man. Everyone thought that she was going to change her clothes. But in the next second, Qin Yojiao walked closer and closer to Huoshidu. Just as a strange glint flashed past her eyes and she wanted to pretend to fall and get closer to the man, Bei Yunj suddenly walked over quickly. Before anyone could react, Qin Yojiao was suddenly grabbed by the back of her neck as if he was holding an animal. She was pulled back by Bei Yunj. When their eyes met again, there was no smile in Bei Yunj's eyes, but Qin Yojiao felt a chill run down her spine. She pinched the back of Qin Yojiao's neck and did not let go. Her tone was playful and filled with hostility. Why are you relying on him? Relying on me? However, Qin Yojiao's thoughts were exposed and her heart turned cold and nervous. I didn't. Qin Yojiao did not know why, but she wanted to get close to that man just now. Looking at Bei Yunj's exasperated expression. But it was definitely not like now. She was grabbing the back of her neck as if she was holding a cat or dog, but her eyes were dangerous as if she was looking at a dead person. You're quite good. Pei Yunji's tone was cold as she flung him away. Qin Youjiao. Of her, she could only bite her lip and look at Hua. Mr. Hua, When Sung Su saw this scene, he felt that his master was in a difficult position. Why was he being pestered even though he had done nothing? Moreover, Miss Pei's possessiveness was too strong. Suddenly, the man stood up and walked towards them. Seeing him, Youjiao's eyes. However, after that, the man only held Pei Yunji's hand casually and walked to the side, not even looking at her. Sung Su, it's settled. Youjiao. In Youjiao no, they. However, the man held Pei Yunji's hand and did not even look at anyone else. Yes. Sung Su answered and walked in front of Qin Youjiao. Miss Qin, do you need me to say anything else? Bei Yunj knew that it was not a man's business to be held by someone, but she still said sourly. You seem to be very good at seducing people. Even Qin Youjiao had taken a fancy to him. Washidu was speechless. He did not know what this child was thinking about all day long. P.S. At least you can sleep first. I'll take a shower and continue reading. End of chapter. Chapter 1209. He was about to reach out and pinch Bei Yunji's face when Bei Yunj avoided him. Are you that angry? Washidu's lips curled up unconsciously. Before Bei Yunj could speak, she suddenly heard someone calling her. She could only glare at Washidu with gritted teeth. Washidu rarely felt that his child was a little fierce. After Bei Yunj left, Zhou Yu walked over carefully. Master Du, Miss Pei's expression just now looked like she wanted to eat someone. Who knew? Washidu laughed, casual and frivolous. I didn't say that I wouldn't let her eat it. When the little girl pulled a long face, she gritted her teeth fiercely. Grandpa, what's the matter? Bei Yunj walked over and her unhappiness dissipated. Look, this is your Grandpa Sheng's grandson. He's the same age as you. Old Master Qin seemed to have drunk too much and was overjoyed. Pei Yunji's eyes met with the blushing face of the handsome boy opposite her and suddenly had a bad feeling. And Miss Pei is really amazing. How did you get 749 marks in the college entrance examination? The boy seemed to be trying his best to talk to her. Qin Yu and Qin Lang watched from the side, their eyes filled with danger. However, with the old master around, they did not dare to be impudent. Bei Yunj said, just write less for your essay. The boy was speechless. All the elders were speechless. Qin Yu lowered his head and the corners of his lips curled up uncontrollably. After that, he heard Qin Lang laugh carelessly. It's like this. Our Qin family son-in-law's standard is to score at least 740 marks in the college entrance examination. Qin Yu glanced at Qin Lang leisurely. This person with the lowest score in the Qin family actually had the cheek to spout nonsense. However, Qin Lang had managed to get into Yun University by following the cutoff score. When the boy heard Qin Lang's words, his face turned red. Qin Lang. What nonsense are you talking about? Old Master Qin scolded. I can't be compared to Miss Pei, but I also hope to be friends with Miss Pei. The boy was simple-minded and could not hide his good impression of girls. At this moment, Bei Yunj also smelled a familiar cold aura around her. All right, what shouldn't have come has come. Bei Yunj heard the man say leisurely beside her, Yun seems to be very good at seducing people. Bei Yunj, in the darkness of the long corridor. Qin Youjiao looked at Bei Yunj and Hoshidu's figures. The light in her eyes was strange and there was a trace of unwillingness in her expression. If she had met Hoshidu first outside the mental hospital that time, would she? Miss Qin always likes things that don't belong to her. Qin Youjiao turned around and saw Song Yao with curved eyebrows and beautiful dimples by her lips. Miss Song wants to humiliate me in order to please Bei Yunj? There was a hint of sarcasm in Qin Youjiao's voice. Or do you really think that Bei Yunj treats you as a friend? With you by her side, she only sees you as a foil. I don't think Miss Qin has any friends, only people who make use of each other, right? Song Yao's voice was gentle, but it was filled with determination. There was no smile in her eyes. Yunj won't spend her time on you, but my time isn't worth anything. Miss Qin, you can try to play tricks again next time. Guess if Senior Qing will firmly believe that Miss Qin is still as affectionate as before. With that said, Song Yao took out a pearl bracelet from somewhere. She lowered her eyes and put it on for Qin Youjiao, but Qin Youjiao's expression was extremely ugly. She had bribed a servant to find an opportunity to put this pearl bracelet by Hoshidu's side. Don't lose it next time. Song Yao looked up at her as if reminding her. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.